Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight's meeting. Today, this is a special general board meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023, and the time is 7:06. Thank you, guys. We had to switch. First of all, we had the land use committee meet, so it kind of pushed that we were worried it would push the meeting back a little. Plus, we needed to repost agenda in case you got one that because the year was off, and usually done checks those things but didn't, so we had to resubmit the agenda. So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for attending. Cindy or Carol, can you make me a co-host, please? Also, I want to let everybody know that there is an upcoming homeless count. It will be January 24th through 26th, and you can sign up at that website at https://www.theycountwillyou.org. Item B is the community impact statement portal update. Most of the CISs now are going to where they need to go in the portal when they're being submitted. And also, I understand that the department has been reworking the system. So I'm not sure if it's 100% working or not yet, but they have made it so that the neighborhood councils could go in and look at which CISs they have filed. It's now keeping track of them. So that is at empowerla.org. I don't know under what banner because I haven't been there to look at it yet, but I just wanted to, that's a recent update that I heard. So I just wanted to share. Item C is status of STNC board approved light pole banner. Cindy, did you want to give an update on that?
We had a meeting with Mary McAdam with the council office, and Ricardo, our new CD7 Flores, our new CD7 rep. And so we're awaiting now for the motion to go through city council. So it was great to have a meeting with them and work out some details, and hopefully we'll get the motion moving forward, and then we'll be able to install the banners. Thank you.
Cindy, if you don't mind, I'm going to give a brief update of what the holdup was, because many of you know we've been trying to get this done for like over 6 months. And what had happened was the council office decided they might want to put items up on the light pole banners also, or other parts of the city, the museums, or somebody might want to use them. So they put our project on hold. We talked to them about finding out how many pole banners there even were. And what we worked out with the council office was the ability for the neighborhood council to be designated 30 of the poles, so that when we want to put something up, now we won't have to go around and pick which poles they are. They would be the 30 that have been chosen. And we did meet with Mary McAdam, and Cindy was working on submitting the list. We had the 20 that had previously been submitted that have our banners on them, but we were adding 10 more. So the way this is all worked out is they're supposed to be designated for the STNC, so that in the future we won't go through this anymore. We'll already have the poles set aside for us. And there are still, I believe 71 poles still left. There was like 99 poles. So there's plenty for other people also. Going on to coffee and tea with the STNC, we did have a tentative date for that. Cheryl or Shauna, did you want to say what that date was?
Sure. It's tentative, like you said, February 11th, coffee and tea with the STNC. We're hoping to do it at the Do It Center, but it's not set in stone yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then roll call and voting eligibility. Carol, if you'd like to go ahead.
Okay. Lydia Grant.
Here.
Lola Rowe.
Here.
Shauna Scanlon.
Here.
Ed Babakanian. Is Ed not here? I don't see him. I'll come back. Carol Hutchinson here. Lenny Freeman.
Here.
Katie Travers.
Here.
Trevor Smith. Hello, Trevor. Trevor Schmidt, okay, I'll come back. Claire Gordon. Claire? Okay, no Claire. John Van Gunten,
Present.
present. Karen Moran,
Here.
Belinda Woodruff,
shop
Here.
and they don't fix it.
look. Okay,
Troy,
then-
with the,
She said here, it's her that has the background feed problem and that's why she keeps muting herself.
okay, so Belinda's here. Cheryl Smith,
Here,
okay, Mike Goldie,
Here.
Shirley Kim. Okay, Chris Rowe,
Here.
very good. Nina Royal. Nina Royal. Okay, I'll come back. Cindy Claycorn,
Present.
okay, Sherry McCoy,
Present.
all right, Mark Siegel.
He's gonna be a few minutes late.
Okay, so is Ed here?
I'm here.
You're here. Okay, how about Trevor?
I think he's still on the freeway.
Okay, and is Claire Gordon here? Okay, I'll mark her
She said
absent.
she would be late.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just at roll call, they're absent. All right,
Yeah.
for my count purpose. And Shirley Kim, is she absent?
Shirley looks absent and Nina is not here either.
Okay. And Mark is late. Okay, so. Okay, we have,
Nina's in the attendees. Let me bring her over.
okay. So, okay, so I'll count Nina as present at roll call since she got here under the wire. So that's 16 present. You have quorum.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item. Completion of city done required training status for STNC board. Is Raul here? Okay, has anybody,
He's here.
Raul is here. Raul, if you want to give us an update on that, we'd appreciate it.
So let me get him. He was here. Where did he go?
His hand is raised.
Okay,
he's in the attendees.
here you go.
Yes, hello, good evening, STNC board members and public. The two people that we have questions about, which is in terms of the expiration for their training, is Lala Rowe. We're showing the training expired January 2023 for all three of her trainings, ethics, funding, and code of conduct. And then John Van Gudden, we're showing October and November as his expiration dates for those three trainings. If you have completed them and you have your certificate, you just let us know. You could send that over to make sure you're eligible tonight.
Mr. Preciado,
Yes.
I cannot fathom why your site did not inform you that I completed the code of conduct some long time back. And I don't mean years, I mean months. I also did, say 4 days ago, complete the funding training, at the end of which I could not make the site, no matter how much I yelled and stomped and pressed buttons, present me a certificate. I did take a picture of my successful completion of the test, and I have emailed that to our president and secretary. So they have that. I have not begun the ethics training because when I went in today to the site, it did not present me with any ethics training that said I needed to be done, even though I know I do. Should I speak to you later about that offline, or should I just keep trying, or can you go fix it mañana, or what?
Yeah, let's speak. We can speak later about the ethics training to see if that's still needed. And then the other option sounds like that's already been taken care of as long as you've emailed that already to the president.
Scout's honor.
Raul, I just sent you John's quiz results for his funding training.
Okay, I got that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and on mine, I would like to make a clarification. I thought it was later in the month. Does it not show the day, or does it only show the month that it expires?
It does show the date, and I will say that this, it takes about a week to maybe 2 weeks to be updated on our site. But it does show the dates as early January, January 6th and
Okay.
5th for your trainings.
Okay, well then, I'm not eligible today.
Okay, Lala. But John is. Raul,
Yes, so John is eligible. I have the funding.
Okay.
So we're just missing the ethics.
Yep. So I can vote on things that have to do with funding, but not that have to do with ethics. I'll try and make that distinction. Thank
oh,
you.
no, that's fine. If the only one that removes you is the code of conduct. So if you sign that, if you're just delayed, well, especially if you weren't able to do the training, we'll go ahead and have you vote tonight.
Yeah, as long as everybody understands what's true.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, announce any board member recusals or paid lobbyists in attendance. Do we have any board members that need to recuse themselves on any items on our board tonight? And if so, did you contact the city attorney? If so, please raise your hand. I do not see any. Okay.
Madam President, Shirley
Yeah.
Kim is present.
Okay. Shirley has joined the meeting at,
I put her down at 7:14 is when I
okay,
noticed
as
her
long,
name.
as long as you saw it for the record, that's fine.
And
Okay.
Trevor's here. He's 898.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, who
Trevor's
is here?
Trevor.
Thank you.
Okay. Announcement of vacant board seats. It says that we have one position open for stakeholder group representative. Is that correct, Cindy?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then let's go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I know Lenny, you usually lead us. Do you want to go ahead and lead us tonight?
Yes, I will. Sit up straight, hand over heart, and say it with feeling. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag
United
of
States
the
of
United
United
States
States of America and
to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank
we
you. One
got-
of these days
We
we'll
gotta
practice
rehearse
that.
that.
Yeah, one of these days. Okay, so I would like to, now we're going into the comments from LADPD and elected officials. We ask if we can kind of keep the time short because we have a ton of stuff on our agenda to discuss tonight. I did see that Captain Lozano was there. Captain, if you wanted to go ahead and go first. We usually have our officers, for those of you who don't know, we have our officers go first because a lot of times they have to get back out to the field. So go ahead, Captain Lozano.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone. I'm excited to be back. We closed out the year 2022. And I know it's been a rough couple of years with the pandemic and then a lot of stuff going on with LAPD and different communities. I'll just give you a quick overview of the crimes where we ended up for the year compared to 2021. So unfortunately, we had 13 homicides. Out of those 13 homicides, we did have 10 arrests. We do have a couple of them that are still pending investigation, but I think one of them we're pretty close to solving. The other two is going to take a little bit more work. As far as the rapes, we were down approximately 20.8% on the rapes, which is a good thing. As far as robberies, we were up 0.6%, which is not any robbery is bad, but compared to the rest of the city, I'm pretty happy with almost being even. And as far as our aggravated assaults, we were down 5.6%. So our overall total violent crime for Foothill, we were down 4.1%. One area of concern that I mean, there's several areas of concern, but one that we're focusing a lot of resources is our burglaries. So we have different types of overtime details and bringing in different resources to help out with the burglary problem with that, because we did go, we ended up 11.3% on that. As far as our motor vehicle thefts, we were down 3.4%. As far as personal theft and burglary from motor vehicle, we were up slightly on personal theft. And what I mean by that is people leaving things unattended, maybe at their house, shoplifters, things like that. So we are focusing in that and trying to work with our security partners at different stores and our box stores in regards to that. One area of a main concern for us is going to be shots fired within the city limits. We were significantly up on that, almost 42%. And compared to the rest of the city is pretty much also up in that right now. So that tells you that for some reason, everybody's carrying firearms. And due to that, but is one thing I'm very proud is of our Foothill officers. We got over 200 guns recovered throughout the year. We served the most search warrants with our narcotics enforcement team from the whole city. So the total amount of arrests that we had was 2,105, which was a little bit about 150 below what 2021 was. But that's just a quick snapshot of the crime for the year. Diana Figueroa will give you a little bit more specific if we have time for that.
Okay.
I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Sure. Actually, yes, there's a couple of quick questions. One, I've had some community members contact me. They're wondering why, if the signage is now up around Sunland Park, why there's no enforcement in removing the homeless. Okay, so
Diana, you want me to answer that?
Please, if you don't mind, I missed the question.
see, we were asked by the shopping center across from Ralph's, and we've been asked by other community members. So I'd like to have an answer for them.
Hey, Jesse, you can answer, or you want me to?
No, I got it, Captain.
All right.
Hello, Lydia, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, hi, good evening. Happy New Year to everybody. This is Sergeant Jesse Ojeda. I don't know if people can see me. I don't have access, but yes, so every situation is on a case-by-case basis. Here at Foothill, what we like to do is use a progressive system where if an individual is the first time that the officer sees him or her in violation, we like to do is first of all advise them that they're in violation of the law, if indeed that's the case, and then it goes progressive from there. I know that in speaking to my officers, because we do have what's called the ABH detail, which is above housing, which is overtime detail that we use here at Foothill, specifically to work with some of these issues that you're speaking of, Lydia. That is a tool that we use. Arrest is a last resort, but we have used on very rare instances. But what we like to do initially is, again, warn. And if they are homeless, if we can work with our city partners to offer them services and housing if we can. So again, every situation is unique. I know of the individual that I speak of, who to my understanding is still in custody. Those are some, hopefully there are few and far between. That's been my experiences so far. And thankfully that's the case. But so to answer your question, yes, we do cite them, but it's not a tool that we use on the first violation. We use, initially we warn them, and if they don't cooperate or they don't follow the rules of the law, and then as a second resort, we go to a citation. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Let me look real quick. Anybody else, any of the other elected officials' offices, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand so I know that you're there. I see. Was
think
there anyone else
Diana-
from the police department?
Diana
wanted to speak?
Figueroa was here.
What?
Officer Figueroa was here.
Yeah,
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
yes.
Hi, yes, I'm still here. So just to kind of piggyback on all this stuff that has been going on, I know that I've been meeting with some of the community members. We had a meeting with the detectives a few weeks ago in regards to burglaries that were going on. I have been meeting with the detectives regularly, and I just want to let you guys know that there was a couple of arrests made. So hopefully that will be, we won't see that many burglaries. And I can't really say much on that. It's just that it is an investigation, and I just wanted to let you guys know to give you a little bit of peace of mind on that. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I do not see any from the board members.
Hi, Lydia.
Jones
Yes.
has his hand
Can
raised.
you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, one thing, if you can pass on to the community, and since the beginning of the year, we've been having a rash of stolen vehicles, though.
Okay.
So a lot of these vehicles are not being, they're being stolen for transportation only. So if you can put it out there, to lock their vehicles, to make sure that they don't leave any valuables in their vehicles or any of that. So I have a couple of different task force kind of concentrating on that. But we did see a big spike. It might be related to the weather, and nobody wants to walk right now. So it's easier and all the vehicles that they're stealing are 2010 and older for the most part. So just let the community know that, hey, really take care of your car, lock it, make sure it's in a well-lit area. And then, we're also focusing in on the Cadillac converter thefts, and we have a couple investigations regarding that too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies.
John, I saw your hand was up. Did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Captain Lozano. If I could trouble you to repeat, please. I was typing and so I didn't get all of the numbers that you cited. Robberies are up, did you say 8.6%? I'm not sure if I got that at all right.
No, for the year, we ended up 0.6%. Less than a point.
Robberies up 0.6%.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, got it.
Thank you. And then Cindy, you had a question?
With regards to Sunland Park, are you saying that it's a progressive system for dealing with the camps that have returned to Sunland Park? Is that the way I heard that? I just wanted clarification because I didn't hear how should I say, a targeted solution for it. And then Lydia, you have another hand raised in the audience.
Okay.
So if I can answer that first question before you ask another question, as far as the Sunland Park, I just visited it today, and I did see 2 tents. I saw one big one from the Sherman Grove and the Fenwick side, and then I saw another orange tent there. So I will be working with the council district to see if we can get resources out there. I know that families want to go out there and feel safe and take their children so that they can play in the jungle gym, and rightfully so, that's what the park is there for. So I will be getting in contact with the council district so that we can get resources out there to hopefully get these people housed, and also get a cleanup out there and get the park cleaned up. So I just, I had it cleaned out where I had a lot of the homeless move out of the park just before the year ended, but unfortunately they leave, one person leaves, and 1 or 2 people move in. So I mean, it's an unfortunate thing that they don't stay out of the park, but I will continue to visit it and make sure that if I see a tent that pops up, that we try to take care of it and get these folks services and housed.
Sorry, could you say that?
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lydia, Pat Kramer.
Yeah, Pat Kramer, go ahead, and then we need to move on. Go ahead,
Sure.
Pat.
Thank you, Captain Lozano and Officer Figueroa. This is Pat Kramer. I'm the chairperson of our Safe Traffic and Transportation Committee for the STNC. I heard about an incident recently where someone in a vehicle had an altercation with a driver that was being disrespectful and driving dangerously. And they said something, out their window to that other driver, and that other driver produced a gun and shot 2 shots into their vehicle on Foothill Boulevard in Tujunga. Are you aware of that incident? Because I was told the police were called.
Yes, I am aware of it. And for some reason, and it's not just Foothill, but the whole valley, it seems like we're the capital for road rage incidents. I can't tell you how many we have. And there has been a couple incidents where there's been shots fired. I have the one on Foothill, and there's been a couple other ones. That's still under investigation, but I will give you guys an update from our detectives as soon as I get one. I'll ask them tomorrow morning. I haven't got one lately on it, but I'll ask them about it. But my big thing with that is, and this is what I tell all the community, everybody, is it's not worth it, because like I talked about, everybody has a gun right now and they're not afraid to use it. Is if somebody's doing something wrong or anything, it's better just to make a right turn and get out of Dodge and leave that person alone. Call 911, try to give the best information you can, but don't put yourself in a predicament where something like that can happen.
I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you acknowledging that we in Sunland-Tujunga are the road rage capital of LA, because we know that already. And we've been petitioning our council member to try to get more funding for LAPD traffic officers up here, because we know we need them. And we know that without pulling people over and citing them, it's just going to get worse. So we appreciate your help. The other question real quick, there was an elderly man who lived down the street from me on Parr Ave in Sunland, who was found dead recently in his home. There were 2 vagrants living in his home who subsequently took his bank card and withdrew $4,000 and then tried to write $50,000 in checks, bad checks, from his account. I wanted to make you aware of it because I brought this issue up 2 months ago to the city attorney when he was at our STNC meeting and the man was still alive. And I did have LAPD come and check on him. I had, a welfare check done on him. He allowed these people to live in his house. So there was nothing that anyone could do. But I do hope that there is an investigation into these 2 parties that were living with him that have suspiciously, were involved perhaps in the man's death and now in the theft of his personal property.
Yes, thank you for that. I will look into it. Diana, can you make a note of that and get with detectives? And we do have a special unit within the LAPD that focuses in on elder abuse or fraud that has to do with them. So
let me just give you his address so you have that to start with.
Sure.
So if I can answer that, we are aware of that location, Captain, and everyone. There is an investigation with the elder abuse here within the LAPD. Building and safety was also involved, and they yeah. So there is an investigation. I know that you guys probably don't see it, but there is an ongoing investigation, and they are working on that. I can't give you a lot of details, but I just want to let you know that we are aware of the Parr address. I do have that. I'm in communication with the family.
And the individual is still around because I saw him driving a little girl's bicycle with a pink basket on the front last week. Down Parr
So
Ave.
the way it works is that they can't just go out and arrest people. Detectives do have to gather all their evidence. so that they can get a solid case before they make any arrests.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. I also just wanted to bring up one point before we move over to some of our other elected officials' offices. And that is that in the last week or so, we have had a motorcycle fatality on Foothill and also somebody in critical condition in a bicycle hit and run accident. So I wanted to just bring that to everybody's attention. We talk about road rage, we talk about slowing down, we talk about enforcement, but there's a real there's casualties when that doesn't happen. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, Pat, in case you were not aware of those. So I'm moving on to the next item. We have, let's go with Jason Maruka. He had his hand up first. Jason is from Supervisor Catherine Barger's office. Go ahead, Jason.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. I'll try to keep my remarks fairly brief. I know you guys have a packed agenda today. So on January 21st, we're going to have the 14th annual trail cleanup day for the Big Tujunga wash mitigation area. It's from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll send over the flyer. The mitigation area is that 210 acre parcel that the county purchased as compensation for habitat loss. So love to have anyone who's interested in helping clean out come on over there on the 21st. So like I said, I'll go ahead and send that over. A couple more just quick updates from the office. We have our augmented winter shelter program going right now through at least the weekend. So anyone who's experiencing homelessness, who needs somewhere to go, you can have them call for housing assistance at 211. Sticking with that theme about the weather, the assessor's office has an ability for people who were impacted by the rainstorms. You can put in a claim for misfortune and calamity. You have to sustain a loss of up to $10,000. So I'll go ahead and send that over to Linda after this as well. But just want to make sure that anyone's aware of that who may have been impacted by the storms. And then finally, just want to let everyone know we opened a new field office in Toluca Lake. So we're right next to Universal Studios. The address of our new office is 4130 Coinga Boulevard, Suite 108 in Toluca Lake, 91602. So you can always come by or give us a call. Our office phone number there is 818-993-5170. And with that, that's my report. Thank you for having me, and hope everyone has had a great start to 2023.
Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate it. Also, Jason, I'm going to be calling to set up a community meeting on the Whiteman Airport. So I just wanted to give you that heads up.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and Declan, go ahead. I know Esmeralda wants to speak, but Esmeralda probably has a longer speech. So Declan, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Declan Floyd from Senator Portantino's office. I'll be brief. First, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you to those of you who came to the Senator's holiday party this past weekend. It was a great turnout. It was awesome to see a lot of Sunland-Tujunga people there. In terms of bills that the Senator will be bringing forward this year, he's only introduced 2 so far. They have about 6 weeks to introduce the rest of them, so I'll have a bigger update next month on all the bills that he's going to be carrying this year. But there will be a lot of stuff on education and mental health, as he always does, as well as some gun safety and some other issue areas. The governor came out with his budget proposal yesterday. We're looking at a $25 billion deficit right now, which is not good, but thanks to some responsible budgeting in previous years, we don't anticipate having to go into the reserves, which is good. So we don't have to cut a whole lot of important programs that people rely on. So that's about all I have. As always, anything we can do for you from the state level, please let me know. And again, Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Declan, may I ask if you have the bill number yet for the online meetings?
I do not. As soon as that bill is introduced, I'll let you know. But as of right now, it is has not been officially introduced.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I know I want to get to everybody at the same time, but Esmeralda, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Happy New Year. As Lydia shared, I'm Esmeralda Marcial with the Office of LAUSD School Board President Kelly Gomez. I want to start by sharing some exciting news. The Board President Gomez welcomed her baby girl, Ada, less than a month ago, and they're both doing well and spending some much quality bonding time. So we're excited for the Board President to, expand her family.
Oh,
But I
cool.
do have a couple updates, district updates. First, our district has gone through some internal restructuring to best support our families and students. Some of you, or those of you who have children, are familiar with that. Formerly here in the Valley, we had two local districts that were in charge of, overseeing the day-to-day operations of our schools. They were Local District Northeast and Local District Northwest. Both of those have been combined and are now known as Region North. So Region North will be now led by the new regional superintendent, Dr. Baca, and you can learn more at achieve.lausd.net/regions to learn more about our different regions. However, I do want to clarify, we have kept our community of schools cohorts, so those still remain as is. So for example, here in Sunland-Tujunga, you have the Sunland-Tujunga Community Schools that is led by Ms. Nacorda, so that is still in place, just kind of like the higher level region was compacted. I also want to encourage our families to take our instructional calendar survey. The purpose of the survey is to obtain families' input on the instructional calendars for the 2023 to 2026 school year. Families have until January 19th to provide their input. You can visit achieve.lausd.net to access the survey. And then lastly, we're getting ready to launch our 5th annual B6 art contest. I will make sure that as soon as we wrap up the final details, I'll get that information and flyer and link to all of you. Thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any board members have questions for Esmeralda? I don't see any hands going up. So if we can take those offline, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, Esmeralda. If somebody needs Esmeralda's contact information, contact me and I'm happy to share it. Okay, Ricardo Flores from Council District 7. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Hi, Lydia. This is Ricardo Flores. I'm the deputy for the Sunland-Tujunga area for the councilwoman. I'll be brief. In an update, we're gonna have a wildlife training coming up in Shadow Hills. It's gonna be at the Stonehenge Rec Center. That's gonna be tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're gonna have animal services show up and kind of present, introduce, and kind of train the community on how to deal with wildlife. We have using incidents in those areas. You're all more than welcome. I'm just gonna quick introduce myself. I'm actually now the new deputy for Tujunga, so I'm actually transitioning into that area. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll say my email for folks that don't have my email already, but most of y'all have it already. But it's ricardo.x.flores@lacity.org. Feel free to reach out for me if you need anything into that, but that's pretty much it. I'll be attending the meeting from this point on, as my former colleague Mary is no longer with our office. I'll be your point of contact.
Thank you, Ricardo. Welcome.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. We'll try to be gentle.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, Raul.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone, again, and Happy New Year. Just a couple announcements. I do see you have later in the agenda a section on the elections, and that's great. I do have a kind of a longer update, so I want to request a meeting with the outreach team or the outreach committee to talk about elections, or have some time at the next meeting. So please, I'll reach out again to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing back. The other thing that is important is we have to have ADA inspections of possible meeting sites for a return to in-person. And I understand there's been some issues with your previous office space. It's understanding that you can still potentially use that space. as a meeting location. I know you're also looking at other areas. So if you could please, as soon as that's decided, send us over the form so that we can schedule an ADA inspection and move forward with that as soon as possible. I'll send my other updates via email. But yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. We do have it on our agenda tonight to have that discussion about what we want to do as far as continuing meeting. Raul, the problem that we're having is that the council office says that we have to be out of the building by 9 o'clock. And that would mean we'd have to end our meeting by 8:30 to clean up all the tables and chairs and to close things up. So that's not feasible. So we're going to have a discussion about that later in the evening. So I appreciate, and if you can stay, that's great. Okay, so let's go back to the agenda. I think we captured everybody. And one of the things that I did get from Esmeralda, she had actually let me know online, is that if we want to, well, we'll get to it when we get to meeting locations. I'll bring it back up. Okay, so I think we got everybody, and now we're moving on to item number 5, which is discussion and action, a response letter from the LA Police Commission. Carol, do you have that letter?
Yeah, just a moment.
So this was in regards to a letter that we had voted on at a previous meeting to send to the police commission. And basically it was the letter that they sent back acknowledging that they had received the letter. I'll have Carol quickly put it up on the screen so you can see.
There's no quickly with Zoom, okay? Just let me like go through this screen, click on that.
Well, do you want to give us the synopsis of what it said?
Well, here you go.
Thank you, but no thanks.
Thank you, no thanks. Basically, there you go.
So basically, there it is. I'll read it real quickly. Dear Ms. Grant, the commission has heard at length from the community members in the Foothill area, and the concerns were addressed publicly via the Chief of Police report at the November 15th, 2022 Police Commission meeting. The reason the Chief of Police addressed these concerns directly is because personnel changes and discipline are at his sole discretion. It may seem externally that decisions are arbitrary. They are not. Due to confidential nature of personnel matters, they cannot be discussed publicly by the Chief of Police. Los Angeles City Charter Section 1070 provides sole authority to the Chief of Police to impose disciplinary action upon an LA or Los Angeles Police Department sworn police employee. The section involved sworn employees memorandum of understanding with the city provides for their appeal rights to any proposed discipline by the Chief of Police. Additionally, the assignment of employees is within the discretion of the Chief of Police as the general manager of the department. The Board of Police Commissioners does not have the authority to intervene in or supersede the action of the Chief of Police in these personnel matters. It is understandable that through active community engagement, a close working relationship can develop between community members and the officers and command staff at the area division. It can be disappointing when employees are reassigned, but the LAPD's officers and command staff are trained to be flexible and serve all communities. It is the expectation of the commission that the officers new to communities will develop the same relationship and investment in the community that their predecessors did. It is the hope of the commission that community will embrace these officers and see them as dedicated and qualified partners. Thank you for sharing your concerns. We welcome your continued input in various matters. Sincerely, Richard Tefenk, Executive Director, Board of Police Commissioners. I don't know that there should, we did not put anything on here for discussion or to write another response. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we had been responded to. Okay, and with that, unless there's anybody who has something urgent they need to say, we can move on to the next item. And the next item is okay. Discussion and action, finalized date for board retreat and recommended topics. So we tentatively have, Cindy, do you have that date? I thought we had it on the agenda.
The tentative date is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
28th of January.
Okay, so we have the 28th of January. Before we ask that, I want to ask Lala. Lala,
Yes.
does it look like the fentanyl town hall will still be held on January 21st.
Yes, it does appear that way. It looks like we have a couple of hoops to jump through, but I think they're jumpable.
Okay, so this is for the board. We had talked about having a retreat and go over some of the things that board members would like to learn, or information that people have that they feel that we may not be effective in certain ways, to kind of have that conversation and to talk about where, how we go going forward. So tentatively that date is the 28th. If we could quickly go through the board members, I want to know, 1, what topics you'd like to cover, and 2, if you think we should postpone it because we will likely be having an event the week before, which will also be on Saturday. So I don't want to take up people's 2 weekends in a row if you think that we shouldn't. So I'd like to get input, and if there's any topic you would like to discuss at the retreat. So any board members have any comments on this? I do not see any. Oh, Lala, go ahead.
Yeah, first off, if we don't want to have people tied up 2 weekends in a row, then it would be February 4th. I would not want to push this any farther back, because it's we do have some newer members that haven't really been grouped into various things, especially like getting through this lacity.org and the council file system. And I know there's been changes on that. And also getting grooved in on how the code of conduct actually applies and examples, so that we actually can keep it in regardless of what else is happening in the meeting.
Okay, so are you suggesting we move the retreat to February 4th?
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting.
Okay, got it. And I took note of the code of conduct and the CISs.
Okay.
Okay, so Lala spoke. Ed, go ahead.
My store is actually open on Saturdays. I won't be available till after 2 o'clock. So if we could push to a Sunday, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'll join after.
Okay. Okay, we can always do it later on Saturday too. We don't have a fixed time. So we'll kind of take all the input and I'll try to work it out with you. Kathleen, go ahead.
I'd prefer the 28th. If you're just checking to see if people have a preference.
Okay. Okay, and is the afternoon okay for you?
Anytime on Saturday is.
Okay, because we want to make sure Ed can go. I want to try to work around everybody. Okay, thank you. And is there any particular topics, KT, you think we should cover? Anything you want to learn or know more about?
I like the points that Lala brought up. Those were good ones.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. And if you think of any, email it to me.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shauna, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I also prefer January 28th.
Okay.
I'm busy on the 4th.
Okay. And is there any topics you want us to cover that?
When I met with you personally, that really helped. And so I feel like I'm a little more aware of my responsibilities and what the council is all about.
Okay, not a problem. John Von Gunton, go ahead.
Thank you. I only wanted to put in a vote that we have at least one weekend intervening between the fentanyl event and our board. So maybe, if not February 4th, the 11th. I'm only saying that I agreed with your initial point. Let's not do 2 weekends in a row. Thank you.
Okay, we can also see how the fentanyl town hall is coming together. If it looks like it's going to be postponed, then we can go ahead and do it. So we'll kind of just play it by ear. That's why I want everybody's input, because then I can kind of go off of what people have said. Okay, Sherry McCoy.
I would echo the comments about the 28th or the 11th. We do a month-end close that makes the 4th pretty crazy. And then in terms of topics, I think since I came on to the board through, filling in a vacancy, I think understanding that upcoming election process in a little bit more detail on what's planned there, expectation, things that have worked well for folks would be helpful to me, as well as a refresher on the committees and where the openings are, and just, you know, kind of understanding the direction of some of that. So
Sure. I think that's really important. We should, because we did change our bylaws, some of our seats will be changing. So I'm going to put that down as something to discuss. And then Shauna or Sherry, I can also meet with you, have coffee, and kind of go over like all the basics. Because yeah, like Shauna, you kind of got dumped in and didn't have the same ability to have trainings and stuff that the others did. So I'm happy to meet with you also to give you like
Civic U was great, by the way. So that
good.
That
Good.
worked out well.
Great. So, okay. So I kind of got the input. Anybody have any other comments? I see hands up still. John, did you have another comment? Or Shauna? No? Okay. Okay, that gives me an idea, and I will email everybody when I have a better idea of what's going on, and then you can respond to me if you think of something else that you'd like to have brought up. Discussion and update on Council File 21-0407 and approve submittal of updated community impact statement regarding motion on neighborhood council elections.
Did you skip an item?
Probably.
Number
I did.
7?
Yeah, I did. Discussion action approve fentanyl youth town hall event at Aurora Banquet Hall and required liability insurance up to $1,000, event to be held on January 21st or in February of 2023. Lala, go ahead.
All right, so the actual amount on that is $273. Not, it was up, we up to $1,000 because we didn't have the quote. The quote is $273. And we, like I said, we do have a couple of hoops to go through, but we should go ahead and approve this. And then if Ed can get with me after this meeting, I want to go over the last hoops that we have to jump through and make sure we've got them.
Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve up to, or $273 for the insurance for the fentanyl youth town hall on January 21st or in February of 2023?
This is Mark. I'll move that.
Okay, Mark made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. Are there any comments from board members on the item? Lala, your hand is up. Did you have another comment?
No, sorry.
Okay. Any other board member comments? Okay. Any other questions?
No,
Any
it's just
comment?
it's just for the $273.
Yes.
Okay.
Not 1,000. Okay. Are there any comments from the community, or please raise your hand if so?
This is Cindy, and I wanted to know if the date has been set.
The date is tentatively set, but there's a couple hoops we have to make sure to verify before. Yes, tentatively the date is set for, what is it, January 21st. It's going to be held on January 21st, but that there's a glitch in the insurance or any other glitches that we have to postpone it. We're just covering our bases. So,
all right, you were taking public comment, I believe.
Yes, I was. So public comment, if you, you can press *9 if you'd like to raise your hand. If you're on the phone, I see we have several people on the phone. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Okay, Carol, could you call for the vote?
Okay, Lydia Grant.
Yes.
Lala's ineligible. Shauna Scanlon.
Yes.
Ed Babakanian.
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman.
Yes.
Katie Travers.
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt. I think you're unmuted, Trevor. Okay, Claire Gordon. And I'm sorry, she's absent. John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Thank you. Karen Moran.
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff.
Yes.
Thank you. Cheryl Smith.
Yes.
Mike Gotia.
Yes.
Shirley Kim. Is she here?
Yeah,
yes.
she's here.
So is that a yes, Shirley?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn.
Yes.
Thank you. Sherry McCoy
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay, that's
This is Trevor. Yes.
okay. Thank you, Trevor. So that's 18 yes.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to item number 8, discussion and action and update on Council File 21-0407 and approve submittal of updated community impact statement regarding motion on neighborhood council elections. Council File 21-0407 was the neighborhood council. Carol, if you could, or Cindy, if you could put up the letter, was the motion that was made by Monica Rodriguez calling out the Sunland-Tujunga Neighborhood Council for voter suppression. And to give you an update, a PRA request was submitted for any proof of voter suppression. It was sent to Monica Rodriguez and her staff, any emails, texts, letters, anything that had to do with voter suppression in our neighborhood council elections. We did receive a response that there was no documentation of any kind to prove voter suppression. So we did write a response letter. There is one thing I'd like to change in it though, just one word, but I'll go ahead and read it. January 11th, 2023, Community Impact Statement, Council File 21-0407. The Sunland-Tujunga Neighborhood Council objects to the most strenuous terms to the allegation in Council File 21-0407 that our election rules are, quote, voter suppression. This claim is baseless on 3 grounds. 1, the STNC follows guidelines established by the City Clerk's Office and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. 2, STNC had the 6th highest voter turnout of all 99 neighbor councils in the most recent elections, according to the October 22nd, 2022 Dunn report. And 3, in response to a public records request dated December 12th, 2022, Councilmember Rodriguez's office responded that they have no documents, communications, emails, etc., supporting the claim of voter suppression. We take voting rights extremely seriously and the request that the City Council reject this slanderous assertion. I'd request for whoever makes a motion that we change the word slanderous to defamatory. Actually, this when you make statements that are false and you have no documentation to prove it up and you put it in writing, it is actually libelous, and stating it is slanderous. She's done both, but I think it sounds better if it just says reject this defamatory assertion, and that is sincerely signed by me if approved by the board. There is one other comment I'd like to make, and that is it did not get into this letter, but it is background, and that is that Ms. Rodriguez stated in the motion that neighborhood councils who require documentation are leaving voters out, that basically that's the voter suppression. And in fact, the department report, which I hoped that we sent out to all of you, and if we didn't, we will. The department report stated that neighborhood councils that had required documentation actually had higher voter turnout. So it actually is in complete discrepancy to what Monica had stated in that motion. So do I have a motion to approve the item as amended with the word defamatory instead of slanderous?
Oh, this is Carol. No, I want to do this. Carol,
I'll fight over it.
I
You guys
spoke
can click
first.
second.
Okay, I think Chris Rowe was the second on that one.
Okay.
Then if I made it first, why aren't I the second?
Okay, we just need it turned in. It doesn't matter. We all are signing off on it. If we all
Okay.
vote, we all sign off on it. Okay, do I have any questions from the board members before we go to the community?
Questions or comments?
Questions. Just any clarification questions, all I'm looking.
I do.
Okay, what's the question?
Are we going to add what you decided to say regarding oh heck. can't
Oh,
find
that
it now.
neighborhood councils who use documentation?
Yeah.
We
And
can.
also changing out the word slanderous.
that I've already asked for. So is there any objection from the board members to
No.
adding that additional part about the documentation actually brings in more voters?
I think you should
If
add it.
anybody's against it, raise
No,
your hand.
I'd second that. I think that's true. I think when people know their votes are going to count, they are more prone to vote.
Okay. Okay, so now we have the motion. Carol, make sure you're catching it. So we need to add the section about what's in the department report, which, like I said, we'll send everybody out a copy of the department report. I think it actually was in the board packet online. So Lala, go ahead. You had a question?
Yes, I have a question. The request the city council reject this defamatory assertion. So does that mean that Monica has to apologize? Or that she has to say, yes, that's true, there isn't any evidence? Or is this that the city council is just gonna vote on this and say whether or not they're gonna call it defamatory?
Okay.
Can we call it libelous? I think that carries more weight than anything.
Okay, so let's make comments in a minute. Let's go to the community and get their input, and then we'll come back and we'll do whatever changes you guys see fit. So any community members want to raise their hand or have a comment? If so, please raise your hand. Anybody in the community? I do not see any hands raised. Okay, *6 if you're on the, or sorry, *9 if you're on the phone. We don't want to leave anybody out. I do not see any hands raised. Okay, let's go back to the board. So we will add, if there's no objection, then we will add the section about what the department's report showed about documentation. And then I put in there to change the word slanderous to defamatory.
I'd rather be libel.
You would prefer to have it say the slanderous and libelous assertion? Slanderous means that it is stated. Libelous means that it is written, and it was both. I was putting defamation to cover both, but it's up to the board to decide what words.
I think the libelous and the slander should be stay in.
Okay. And then I also want to know with this item, besides turning it into the CIS, I was going to also, as long as the board approves, send it to each of the council members, because right now they're getting report backs based on this information that was basically untrue. And I would like to include with them the PRA request that stated that there was no documentation, also a copy of the motion so they can review it, and a copy of the department report. Is there anybody who objects, any board members object to that also going forward?
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Me too.
And then Mark, go ahead. I see your hand is raised.
I think that we should include some language that states how she intentionally was throwing mud at us, was intentionally saying things to hurt us. And I don't know how we can change the wording to do that, but what she said was not just something she pulled out of her rear end. This, well, maybe it was actually. She wanted to hurt us. She tried to make us look bad. She lied about us. And my feelings are that she really, and she said it in front of the whole city council out loud multiple times. And I think she should apologize, strongly apologize. What she said was vicious. And I don't know how to put it stronger in this letter, but those are my feelings about this, because what she said was really wrong. And I used to support her once upon a time, but this is serious. And I don't know how to have it corrected, but I just want to be on record that what she did was really awful. And we didn't deserve it. We didn't do anything to deserve what she said and did. And I don't know what her future plan is on this, but I'm sure she's just, laying groundwork for something else. Anyhow, thank you.
Can you put the word calculating in there somewhere? Because she calculated.
Well, I think that basically making the statement that we make at the end covers a lot of this. But I think when we send it to the council members, we could say that we feel we deserve an apology, or we can even add that at the end.
I think we should add that at the end.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah,
Groundless,
I think,
libelous, and deserve an apology.
and she's had almost 2 years to find anything to show that that's true, that that her allegations are true, and she hasn't come up with fact one. She has zero, and there's no way that we could throw the election at all, because the person in charge of the election is the city clerk, and there's nothing we could have done to. We have our responses to the election, and what we did and the people we got to vote was higher than almost any other neighborhood council. We were in the top 10, and we did our people did a great job getting out a vote, and it was a very a vote across the board, not just in small little pockets. So anyhow, thank you.
Thank you. KT, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that a large section of our population believes that the asking of ID in the process of voting is voter suppression. And I don't think that one's belief in a point of view is libelous or defamatory. It's just a point of view. And some people believe that to protect voting, everybody should have to show ID. And some people believe that you should never ask for ID, that it is voter suppression. These are just two points of view that happen to be opposed. And I don't think that anybody means anything defamatory by espousing a different point of view.
Thank you, KT. I would just like to make the statement that if she did the motion, it could have just clearly said, I would like the city to look into not allowing documentation for neighborhood council elections. She did not have to make a nasty statement against our neighborhood council. Especially because almost half of the neighborhood, almost half of the neighborhood councils, I think it's like 44 of the 99 require documentation. This was set up by the city clerk and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. This is not something that our neighborhood council made up. This was an option we were given. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to what you just said, Lydia, that, yeah, she could have a difference in opinion, but why choose us specifically? It was kind of embarrassing. And it's almost like she didn't do her homework, because when you look at Council District 7, you could look up all of the different neighborhood councils and how many votes were actually counted, right?
Can you share that, Cheryl? Do you have that information in front of you? Could you let our other board members know what the other neighborhood council elections look like in CD7?
Sure. Okay, so we'll go from least to most. How about that? Mission Hills had 9 votes total. Then next was Foothill Trails District had 12 votes total. Pacoima had 50 votes total. North Hills East had 51 votes total. And we had 637 votes total. And not only did we outperform them quite a bit, in that, even with the candidates, we went from the previous election, there were 34 candidates. And then this election, there were 39 candidates. So we even went up in that category, whereas a lot of them went down in that category.
Thank you for sharing that, Cheryl. I may want to, Cheryl, I may ask if you send that to me so it can be added to what goes to the council members. Thank you.
Sure.
Carol, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really do believe that she just has something against our neighborhood council. I mean, this isn't the first time she's made, you know, statements impugning our council. I mean, I still, you know, that when I went to her council meeting, and you know, asked her why she wasn't at the national night out that we had put on, not last one, but the one before. And she starts chit-chatting with another council person and talked about how she didn't go to any national night out in certain area in the northeast, was it? That because they weren't inclusive. We had 500 people. We didn't have a gate. How would she know if she didn't even go? But it was just a chance to say something terrible. And so, you know, that's first. And second, I think that everybody's vote should count. And one of the other neighborhood councils put in a statement, because they have had this problem, where outside entities, when you don't have any control over who votes, outside entities can come in and absolutely influence the vote. I think it was Granada Hills several years ago that had a group that wanted to take over the neighborhood council, and they were bringing in people from outside the area to vote. I mean, how is that fair to the people of the community? You know, when you have a group that'll come in, you know, from I don't know, Pacoima to go vote in Mission Hills. That's not fair to the people of Mission Hills. So, no, I really do believe that having show ID, and I don't think people ever minded. I never heard anybody, but mostly they didn't want to give their ID to the city with this mail-in thing. But I think people appreciate it. I really got the impression people appreciated knowing that their vote counted. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy, go ahead.
I just wanted to briefly say that I don't think that people are opposed to showing ID. I have that requirement in my business, and people appreciate that that it is, because it provides safety. So, and I don't think that it is something that people of different cultures object to. I think it's very highly respected. So that's all I really wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, John Van Gunten, go ahead.
Thank you. I believe Mark touched on it, and we can't let loose of the underlying viciousness here. It's one thing if somebody pops off an accusation that says, you know, oh, Joe is a hothead, but it's something else if it's repeated multiple times, baselessly, irresponsibly, and viciously. So I think we are soft pedaling it a little bit in our letter just so that we remain polite. But the fact is that I believe, based on the timing of events, that our council person's remarks were fed and instigated by people within CD7, perhaps people within Sunland-Tujunga, who disagree with a lot of what the STNC is trying to do, and a lot of the things the STNC has vetoed, and things the STNC has promoted, some of the pro-law enforcement activities. And they are simply trying to get revenge and squelch us. So I think we have a battle here, and the other side is playing dirty. And something that makes clear to the council that this is irresponsible and unethical behavior needs to find its way into the letter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trevor, is that it? Trevor, is that you on call 898?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So yes, along the lines of Mr. Von Gunten, I also think that, yeah, not only should she redact it, but she should repudiate it and clarify that this is totally incorrect and that she was wrong to say this. It's not enough to say, you know, to say nothing, and it has to be correct. The record has to be corrected that not only was it not right, it was untrue, and she takes it back. That's what we should demand, because she can't just say something that's going to put us down, put us in a bad light. And it is not just another point of view, Ms. Travers. It is denigrating our integrity and saying that we are bad people when we it's absolutely the opposite. So she needs to recant and take it back.
Okay, thank you. One other point that I would like to add is I know this is a topic like none of us want to have this discussion. It should just be over and done with. But the fact is now it's all coming to the forefront, because now the department just finished their report, and then the city clerk is going to do their report, and then the city attorney is going to do their report, because she wants to change the entire way the neighborhood council system, elections are, what seats people can run for. This was just an in to get in and start working to dismantle the system. But I think that the biggest thing for me, and I'm going to state it this way, I didn't want to state this before everybody else spoke, but the fact remains, accusing people of voter suppression, which is a crime, is absolutely disgusting coming from an elected official. The same elected official that would not want the entire city or the entire state of California getting to vote in her election for her race. So I'm pretty pissed about this. I, as the president of this neighborhood council and as the chair of the election committee, I'm appalled by this statement. We had a great neighborhood council election committee. We had people like Evelyn and Erica and Judith who did so many graphics and videos and things to outreach to people. And we had so many people who inputted. We did a great outreach for the event. We will be providing it probably at the whole package. You can see it, what we did last year as we move forward to vote on what we're going to do this time. But that's my opinion. I'd like to go ahead. I know we have a couple people in the community with their hands raised. We did already go for public comment, but I would like their input. So we'll go ahead and go back, and then that's it. We need to call for the vote. Marjorie Maxon, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Marjorie Maxon.
Hi.
I'm really sorry I didn't go in order, but I thought, Lydia, you made a really valid point. If it's, I think you said 40% of the people, the 40% of the neighborhood councils require documentation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very unfair for her to call you out specifically when you're just doing the same thing as 40% of the other neighborhood councils. So I was wondering something maybe in the first line. I think what's unfair is they specifically called you out and connected you with voter suppression when you're just doing what 40% of the neighborhood councils do.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
it.
that. It's
I'm
actually
sorry.
more, it's like 44%. That's a really
Well,
good
yeah,
point.
whatever
Thank
you said, I'm sorry, something
Yeah,
like that.
no. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it should be added, even if it's not in the letter, it should be added to the packet. I absolutely thank you for that. Mark Dutton, if you're 763.
Yeah, hi, thank you for letting me talk. Okay, first of all, please prosecute this to the whatever extent you can. We are sick of this woman attacking this community over and over again. Point number two, 75% average and plus of Americans who oppose voter suppression are for voter ID. It's ridiculous to think that a local municipal election would not require ID to prove that you are part of the community of the race that you are voting in. Done, Empower LA should be renamed Empower the City Council. There is nothing less democratic than a monopolized, centralized rule book for municipal elections. The communities should vote whether they want to have documentation or not. And if the community ends up not liking it, they can vote it out. That is democracy. This is not Queen Monica here. This woman runs her whole office like a monarch. And this community and many other communities are sick of this. You can state how you feel. That's true, but you cannot state it as fact or statistics, especially from the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote, please. So the motion, just to repeat it, the motion is to make a few changes to it, which was to add the words libelous and slander. It was also to add something at the bottom that the neighborhood council deserves an apology, and that a council member should not be accusing people of crimes when they have no documentation to back it up. Also, somewhere in the letter, we add I don't know how many words we could put in the council file. So if it's not in the council file, it'll go to letter.
We could, yeah, we can add it in a document. In fact, it probably might be better to put it in a document and then just put in the council file, say, see attached.
However we decide to do it. But anyway, I had the word that the statement was irresponsible, that the percentage of how many neighborhood councils do documentation, and to send those attachments to the city council. So when this comes across their desk, they're aware that there's a backstory to this, and this was not what was claimed. So do I have a motion to move all that forward? Oh, we did have a motion already. Well, now we're making a motion as we've amended everything.
As amended. So I'll make the motion to write the letter as amended.
That's second.
And
Okay.
Nina,
So let's go ahead and call for the vote.
okay, Lydia,
Yes.
Shauna,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Carol is yes. Lenny,
Yes.
Coffee in the world
AT?
today.
No.
okay, Trevor,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
yes, thank you. No, I was thinking, is Claire still absent? I think so.
Yes, Claire will not be attending. She sent me a note.
Okay, John Van Gunten,
Yes.
Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff.
Yes,
Belinda? Yes,
Yes.
okay.
thank you.
Carol Smith,
Yes.
Mike Gottlieb,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
thank you. Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal. Nina. Okay, I'll come back. Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay, and Nina, one more chance. Are you muted?
Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. That's 17 yes and 1 no.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, and I'm going to try to step them up because we still have a lot on the agenda. Let's see.
Give me a minute.
Okay, so the next item is discussion, possible motion to explore new STNC office and related details. So I thought we had this listed differently. So oh, okay, that's why. So number 9, discussion and motion in response to Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez's letter of 12/2/22 regarding vacating the North Valley City City Hall building at 7747 Foothill Boulevard, Tujunga. So to give you guys a brief synopsis, we received a letter from Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez stating that we would no longer be allowed to have our office or storage space at North Valley City Hall, and that if we had anything in the building, we had to get it out within 30 days. So I wrote a letter in response asking, would we still be able to use the building for meetings? And we were told that we would only be allowed to have meetings there if we were cleaned up and out the door by 9 o'clock. So I don't know where to go from here. I don't know if we should be looking for a new office space. I don't know if we should be renting an office space so we can hold our committee meetings and move our storage into. I don't know if we should try to switch our meetings to 2 meetings a month so we can accommodate 2 different meetings because we can only be there a shorter amount of time. I just put this on the agenda so I could get your input so we can try to figure out what to do. So anybody have any comments? I do have one comment, that is we could write a letter to Monica Rodriguez asking her to, the fact that this is actually one of the biggest issues that keeps coming up in the city. And that is when a council person doesn't allow the neighborhood council to have the use of city space, then we have to use taxpayer money to pay rent and pay storage and pay money other places. So it's not the neighborhood council that she's throwing out. It's basically the community, because the community only has one meeting a month where they can discuss the issues of the community and the issues that the city council's voting on so that their voice can be heard. So we've had to play games with the council office before to be able to have our meetings. One of those things used to be that while our meeting started at 7, they closed the office at 5. So we would have to have somebody go sit there between 5 and 7 to make sure we held the building open so we could have our meetings. In the past, we had keys to the building. We've also had agreements with the council office that we could just shut the doors behind us and make sure everybody was out and lock it up when we left. But that is not being offered to us now. We are being told if we want to meet there, we would have to be done by 9 o'clock. And since we'd have to put away all the tables and chairs and microphones and all that, then we would likely have to finish our meetings at 8:30. Since we start at 7, that would mean we would have to start earlier, and we would likely have to do 2 meetings a month. Also, to add to the picture, we don't even know. So at this point, we are being told that if we do return to in-person meetings, which could be as early as February, that we would not be allowed to let our community members in who are not vaccinated, or our board members. So we would be discriminating against our community, which is, I think, a big issue. But please, I'd love everybody to raise their hands and weigh in on this issue. I could have written a letter, but I decided I would let the board decide what action or direction they would like this to go. So we'll go ahead and start.
Maybe I can't raise my hand.
Okay, let me go to the community first and get their input. Trevor, I do see your hand is up, but we don't have a motion on the floor right now. But we only have a few community members who've raised their hands, so I'd like to go ahead and go there first. Patty, go ahead.
I would like to know, I only know of our office and the Pacoima office. Does she have any other offices, Mission Hills or whatever? Number 1 question. Number 2, does the Pacoima Neighborhood Council use her office for all their activity, for their meetings in the Pacoima office? I think that's a good point to know.
So those two answers, so those 2 answers are no and no. There is an additional office in Sylmar, which also Sylmar Neighbor Council does not use.
So they don't use that big office at all that in the Pacoima?
Yes, Pacoima Beautiful has their office there. Monica and previous council members have had Pacoima Beautiful there. The neighborhood council does not have access to that.
Oh, wow.
space.
So she's discriminating against neighborhood councils. Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry we had the back and forth, but you asked questions. I wanted to make sure I answered them for you. Caller ending in 896, go ahead.
It's George. How many other neighborhood councils have their meetings in the council person's offices?
Many.
99.
Many. I can't give you a number. Somewhere there was, Herb Wesson did a letter about that and talked about how much money is being spent out of taxpayer money to pay for neighborhood councils to have space versus them being able to use city buildings. It actually is listed in the city charter that it is part of the department manager's job to help the neighborhood councils use city facilities. So it is implied that the neighbor councils are supposed to be using them. But I don't have that exact number. I don't think the study's been done in many years, but I can try to get hold of that letter.
It might help your cause if you knew exactly how many others had access.
Thank you. Any other hands of the community members? 763, go ahead.
Yes, hi. This councilwoman is obviously repeatedly aggressive and uses Dunn and Pacoima Beautiful and everybody else to do that work for her. At some point, she has to be called out. She has to be called out. This is nonsense. Our neighborhood council works tirelessly. All of you guys, I've been here for years. I've watched it. I've watched the time that goes into it, the thoughtfulness that goes into it. Not everybody agrees on it, everybody else's philosophy, but you have to have a modicum of decorum the way that you go about this. And you guys always have. I'd like to see a single incident with evidence, not accusations, not opinions. She knows better than that. And Monica does this over and over and over again, costing, like you said, taxpayer money. It's ridiculous. She does the same thing to Pacoima, to their neighborhood council. I was very close to the people in that council, does the same thing. So she has to be stopped, and I applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Dora the Explorer.
Hi, my question is, what good is City Hall if no one's using it? I think the Coors is in there or something.
Oh, the
but
nonprofits are
again,
using it.
Are they? Okay, well, this again, just to echo what everyone else is saying, this is taxpayer money. I mean, what good does it do to repay space when city space is available? To me, when I drive down Foothill Boulevard, what I see is a vacant City Hall with Monica's mug in the foyer. It doesn't have anything to do with the neighborhood at all. It has everything to do with Monica. And that's just wrong. And hope we can make that right. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Pat Kramer here. I wanted to just give a brief history because I was taking the minutes for the neighborhood council for approximately 15 years prior to serving on your board for 5 years. From the time of Wendy Gruel on up to the time of Council Member Rodriguez, we always had an office at North Valley City Hall. I think it was rented to the STNC for $1 a year, but we always were given access to that office starting way, way back with Council Member Gruel, maybe even prior to her. I joined the neighborhood council as the minute taker when Council Member Gruel was in office. So that's as far back as I remember, but it may have been before that. And so what I just want people who are unfamiliar with the situation to know is that every other council member always allowed access to the STNC.
No, Fuentes didn't.
Fuentes did kick us out for a little while, but we were allowed back in by the council president who replaced him as our temporary. So, and that was an act of that. I won't go sideways into that argument, but I'm just trying to explain that every other council member allowed STNC to use that building. And it wasn't until Council Member Rodriguez joined us as our council person that the door was then locked. The locks were changed to our neighborhood council office. We were told that her deputy, Eve Sinclair, had to be asked for permission to use our office, and we had to arrange in advance when we wanted her to unlock the door to let us use our own office. So this has been going on for quite a few years, at least the last 4 years, if not 5 years. Actually, now that I think of it, it's longer than that. It's probably been going on for, well, yeah, since she joined as the council member. So just know that this sudden change, it really isn't sudden. She's been working toward kicking the neighborhood council out ever since she has been serving this community as our council member. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Okay, Carol, go ahead.
Oh, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay, we'll come back. Lala, go
No,
ahead.
okay, no, it's just, it is, that is not her building. That building belongs to the taxpayers. I know she has the key, but it belongs to the taxpayers. The taxpayers funded all those repairs. The taxpayers pay the bills. The taxpayers fund the neighborhood council. So basically, the taxpayers are having to pay twice. They're having to pay for that building, and now they're having to pay for storage. And so I don't understand how she can do this. And another thing is, I'm starting to feel like a child, being treated like a child, that we have to ask permission. We are part of the city. We're in that city charter. I mean, I assume that she knows she's going to get an office if she gets elected. Why don't we get an office? Why are all these organizations, Dunn and Bunk, and all these people making these decisions for us like we're children? So I don't understand why we're being treated like this. I really don't. I mean, we are elected by the people to represent them in this community. And for her to say, well, you have to be out by 9 o'clock. Well, she doesn't go into a meeting and set up tables and chairs. We have to go in and do all our own work. So I'm just kind of frustrated with this because, like I said, the taxpayers are getting the shaft at both ends. And it's because Monica, I don't know what the plan is there, but I don't see why she can refuse to let us have an office. I really don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Next board member is,
I think that you said me first.
Lala, go ahead.
Okay, so a couple of things. First off, we should probably look at both things while fighting for the space, fighting to get the space back and retain some sort of semblance and not have to charge extra money to the taxpayers. Because where that money will come from if we get another space is from our community grants, which are already cut back because we're paying for storage. Now, that said, we probably do need to figure out something for a new space, because if we don't win and get North Valley City Hall back, we still need to meet. And even if we get North Valley City Hall back, if they keep the vaccine mandates in place and no board members and community members who are not vaccinated will be allowed, that is totally disenfranchising about a little bit over a third of our community, including our board. So we have a couple of things. While we should fight, we need to get real smart and find out how to have another space without it costing us an arm and a leg, like a couple of these places like Sun Valley, who literally has no money left. They pay their bills, pay their rent, and there's nothing for the community left. I don't want to get into that. So we're going to have to be real smart. I think we should just go ahead and get another space, but I don't think that we should not fight. We should fight to get it, but not count on it.
Okay, thank you. Kathleen Travers, go ahead.
I think that if it's up to Dunn to find us city space so that we don't have to pay taxpayers money just for rental of space, then it should be passed back to Dunn saying, we've tried to work this out with our council member who does not want to give us access except within the period 7 o'clock to 8:30. And we can't hold a neighborhood council meeting in that limited amount of time. Could you please secure for us a city-owned facility? Maybe they'll forge a deal with her, since it's their responsibility to find us city space to avoid our having to pay rent.
Thank you. Katie, I have a question for you. We don't actually have a motion on the floor. Would you say, or I'm just throwing this idea out, would you say that we should ask the department to try to work with Monica and request that we could keep the building until 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock?
I think that asking Dunn to facilitate is the thing to do, because they are required to
Okay.
get us space. And that might be the thing to do, because she doesn't own North Valley City Hall. The city does, and there has to be one of the I think it's in CAO that they that there's a unit that manages all of the city facilities, and so maybe it needs to go through them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's actually general services that covers the buildings, but
Okay.
yes, there's also one other factor that we haven't discussed. And I don't know if we had it on the agenda as separate. There was just so much going on. I mean, I was trying to write letters to things, and I didn't want to put in words what you guys would want to do. That's why I kind of left this as an open discussion. But the other thing is so when we were told we were moving out, we were also told that they had measured our tables and chairs, the rolling racks, and put in an alcove that would hold those. So all this time we've been paying rental storage space for the tables and chairs to go back to North Valley City Hall. And now we're basically being told they don't want our tables and chairs. We were told that they purchased their own. So there also is the question, do we want, and I don't think it's on this agenda, I'm not sure if it is, but for the next agenda, something to bring up at the end of the meeting, do we want to add in being reimbursed for the storage of those items that we would have likely given back had we known that we would be paying storage for 2 years for something we couldn't use? Just a thought. Okay, Cindy, go ahead.
Okay, I just have a couple of clarifying things to help. Also, Pat Kramer's comments were excellent and spot on, because she has a long history in our community and recollects very well on how things have been. But number one for everybody, yes, Monica Rodriguez is in charge of this building. It's the municipal building. She's in control of it, and she can decide whatever she wants to do. Her predecessor, Felipe Fuentes, yes, made our office smaller and put more restrictions on our being able to be there. But that was to move in nonprofits. At the time, LA Family Housing was building their new offices and needed space. So LA Family Housing moved in, and in talking to them, they were told that these rooms were vacant. When I spoke with LA Family Housing, they did not know that we were being pushed out at that time. And had they known, they would have thought it through differently. The other is now you have LA Family Housing and you have the Conservation Corps, and who knows, there may be something else. Years ago, when the Mayor Hahn was mayor, there was a celebration for opening up this municipal building so that all the departments would have an office and be able to meet with our constituents in this community once a week, twice a week, whatever the scheduling could be. And that was promoted. We have that documentation. So I just wanted to point out that these couple of things, the nonprofits now have the control of North Valley City Hall. Eve Sinclair, during her time with us, when it came about that they were refurbishing the building, said that we would have a building with a brand new Wi-Fi and screens and all the repairs done, and it would be wonderful. And so we were led to believe that we would have all of these things. So for us to have spent all of this money on storage for this length of time, we believe that we would be coming back with those items at least. So it's not really, a nice thing to do. But I guess she doesn't have to be nice. So I just wanted to give you some clarifying points, and thanks a lot.
Okay, Ed, go ahead, please.
Thanks. Just adding a little bit of detail there. I know we talked about, if we're not able to get back into the city hall, what would it take to rent a space? I just sent Carol a screenshot. The average space rental in Sunland, this is Sunland, which is the less expensive cost, is $27.04 per square foot per year. considering you'd need minimum 1,000 square feet, probably more. This renting a space would far outweigh our total budget annually. So just kind of putting that out there, if they ever get to a place where they say required in-person meetings, you're gonna have to provide municipal space. There's no way around it.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. Okay, John Van Gunten.
Thank you. I just wanted to make the point that Monica knows full well STNC has those chairs and tables in reserve being stored someplace, because when she was looking to be elected, when she was campaigning, she came to every STNC meeting for about 6 months, saw those tables and chairs, even came to a couple of committee meetings where she saw those tables and chairs. So her move to purposefully waste taxpayers' money on brand new chairs and tables was simply a way to never be beholden to STNC for anything. It's another little baby divorce and hostility. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, Cheryl, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say, yeah, it's not an either or thing. I don't know why it has to be that way. Like making it happen, that's great. Give them the office space. But I think it would be great if we could share it and help one another out, because no one is there, 24/7. We could take turns. And aren't there multiple rooms in that building anyways? And we have all those emergency supplies. It'd be good to have that in the municipal building. And I think we, like you mentioned, going to 10 o'clock would be good. And maybe, so if we could budge 1 hour, like we start at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. and then she budges 1 hour instead of 9 p.m. She says 10 p.m. That would actually give us a 4-hour window. So I think we should put that forward to see if she's willing to budge, because if we're willing to budge, let's see if she can. And because she bought those new tables and chairs, if we can get in there, let's say the 6 to 10 p.m., can we use those new tables and chairs, get rid of the old ones? And also if she has a speaker system we could use, because it's too much work to lug them back and forth, from the storage unit to do a meeting every month. And I hope Ricardo Flores is still here and he's listening, because maybe he could work with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Trevor, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it, from everything that we have experienced, it seems like Monica Rodriguez is opposed to the neighborhood council, which seems interesting since she's a city council member for this area, and our neighborhood council was elected by our neighborhood. So if she's opposing us, it would seem by extension she's opposing the neighborhood. And like everybody has said, the building does not belong to her. Yes, she's in charge of it, but it belongs to the community. And I think we should file some sort of a grievance against her for refusing to let the neighborhood council use the city council building, which is our right. And I think we should reassert just our the rights that we have. What is the reason that we can't use it? What is the reason we have to waste taxpayer money? What is the reason that she's being punitive and, like Carol said, treating us like little children? And what is the reason she won't come to any neighborhood council meetings and show her face so we can speak to her directly? Yes, she sends her representatives, but she needs to be held to account. And we should use the building. Rosa Parks refused to be discriminated against and sat in the bus. Martin Luther King, made his stand. This is discrimination, and using the COVID vaccine as another impediment to accessing a building when there's no purpose of a COVID vaccine, absolutely none. It doesn't prevent COVID. So there's no use in using that as an excuse. We need to be able to use the building, and we need to demand the building. That's my position. Thank you.
Thank you. So just another point, and it will be come up further on the agenda, but it does relate to this also. We as a board had, we keep hearing from the department. I know Raul is still here. We keep hearing from the department that they need to do the ADA inspection for our meeting. But I keep trying to explain to them, we don't have a location for a meeting. And when this board approved the North Valley City Hall for our elections, the department got a letter back from Monica's office stating that the building is under construction, so we could not hold our election there. Well, our election is not until June, and they wrote this letter in August, and they had the grand reopening of the building and the ribbon cutting in May. So they had the ribbon cutting in May, and then the following August said the building is under construction. I was in the building. Mary had offered to do a tour for me. The building is complete. So when we come up on these next couple items, I just want you to think about that. I didn't know what to do with this item. So I take everybody's thoughts into consideration. Maybe we'll put some things together and the board can kind of look them over and decide what they want to vote on at the next meeting. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up and fill you in. Oh, the other thing that I didn't say, and I didn't want to say this because I didn't want there to be any negative towards the organization. The office space that Monica has removed us from is being given to making it happen. So I just wanted to make that statement to let you know. Hold on one second. Let me go. First of all, I'd like to see if Raul is still here. Raul, are you still here?
Yes, hello, I'm still here.
Can you try to help us with this situation?
So, yes, I understand it's complicated. I don't know right about the conditions at the, if we'll be able to make any change in terms of what Monica Rodriguez's office has expressed. So I would recommend holding the meetings during the time that was mentioned, or finding a new place in which we can help, kind of help identify some places and, help schedule the ADA compliance. But the situation seems complicated at the City Hall area.
Okay, thank you.
I've had my hand up for quite a
I'm
while.
sorry,
now.
I know, and I tried to come back to cover. Lenny, is that you with your hand up?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead, Lenny.
All right, I would like to put forth the argument, and you may want to use this as an argument in your community impact statements, your further arguments on this whole issue. And that is, all the actions that Monica has done could be argued, strongly argued, that she has been infringing upon our constitutional right to assembly. Think about it from that angle. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Okay, have I missed anybody? Chris Rowe, was your hand up? Oh, Mark's.
You got Mark and Chris.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit fed up with this thing going round and round. So I'm just going to say my piece here. My view is the whole purpose of the meetings is so that our stakeholders know what's going on. So I really don't care whether we meet in City Hall or the back street or the bakery or down at the park. I want to know, well, how's that going to impact people going to be able to come to the meetings? And maybe the online meetings get a better attendance than they used to when people used to have to traipse all the way downtown and go to City Hall. Okay, now I understand this thing about the storage and all this, that, and the other, but what about the stakeholders? And are they going to be better serviced by finding another location, or should we just continue the way we're doing it here? There you go, that's my piece.
Thank you very much. Mark, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say that we have never had anything against Monica. We have never tried to break relations with Monica. We've never tried to hurt Monica. And she has put up brick walls in front of us constantly, over and over. And it's my feeling, and when it happened was when Liliana did not become president, was when she flipped 180 and decided that we were all the things that she has said about us. every council person that we've had while we've been here has worked with us. We've worked symbiotically, even halfway through Felipe Fuentes's his term, when he suddenly left during the middle and went to do other things at a great increase in salary. But he told me specifically and to my face, you know, when I asked him questions, why are you doing this? This isn't what the community wants. He said, I was elected by the community. I could do anything I damn well please. I am your council person and you will do what I tell you. He told me this. Now I've paraphrased it a little bit, but this is what he said, and this is how they believe. And so that the people in our communities that say, oh, well, you're our elected official, you work for us. That's not how they see it. Those people see it as that they're elected, they are God, and you will do what they say, or you will be kicked to the curb and stepped on. And that's the reality of the situation. That's how they think, that's how they work. And we've never wanted to have any kind of a conflict with Monica. We've always wanted to work with her, and we would still like to work with her if we can. So I'm hoping at some point she will open up her eyes to our community and say, and maybe realize the truth that we are not bad people, that we have always been inclusive. We've included everybody that we can that will come to us and work with us as a human being and work as and wants to be inclusive. The second thing I need to say is that there are some other buildings and places we can try. We used to go to the middle school. We used to go to the Sunland Park Rec Center. We did meet at the Elks once upon a time. And what the cost of those will be and what the specifics are, those would need to be looked into. But there's also the church that I think, what is it, the Lutheran church up at the corner, and perhaps we could meet at any of those places. I know there's people out there who say, oh, a church, we can't meet at a church, it's a religious place. Well, there's many places, many other neighborhood councils that do meet at churches, and they're usually very cost effective and centrally located, so it's easy for the people to get to, the stakeholders. Anyhow, thank you very much for letting me say my say, and please move on.
Okay, thank you. So I would like anybody who wants to make a motion on this or give input on this, if you want to go ahead and put it in writing and send it to me, I can try to put some things together. There is one other option. And that is, we could always, I mean, we're going to send a letter to the city council about the motion with the elections. We could always send a letter saying that we've been thrown out of the building again. I mean, the last time we got thrown out of the building and we got put back in it, it was newsworthy. It was in the Daily News. We could include that article and see if there's any way that the city council, I mean, I don't know, just a thought. Let's not discuss it because we've got so many things on this agenda, but if you have ideas, send them to me. We'll try to put something together for the next meeting. Remember, if we have the retreat, that could be before our next meeting. So it might even be sooner than our next meeting that we would be able to address these things. So next, discussion and possible action for STNC board elections. The candidate filing opens on February 3rd, 2023, and the election date is Saturday, June 3rd, 12 noon to 6 p.m.
So just a question. So item 9 and item 10, did you make that all one thing? Explore new STNC office?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I believe they're together. They were both brought up.
That's fine.
Sorry if it got confusing. So the candidate filing window is opening. We usually are much further ahead of the game, but because our election was not until June. I'm sorry. I knew Mark Dutton had his hand up and I totally missed it. Go ahead, Mark. Let's go back to the last item so Mark can speak. Mark.
Actually, I had Mark down as speaking unless he has some.
Yeah, I had him down too, and he's not answering.
Hey,
oh,
hello.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi. So sorry, just a quick statement. I feel like somebody has to mention the hypocrisy of Monica Rodriguez, accusing the neighborhood council of voter suppression. And we just spoke for 15 minutes on her suppressing our access to our neighborhood council meetings and expressing our voice as a community. This is ridiculous. Look, this is beyond, people have been patient, and I respect your guys' patience. You have a lot more than I do, but I don't need to be patient. I can be a little more forthright about this and straightforward about this. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this woman doing this to our community. It actually puts a division in our community anyway. I know that our community has a lot of people that are not fans of a lot of other people, but the councilwoman has a much higher responsibility than we do. She has betrayed our community time and time and time again. And the hypocrisy, please, we have to mention this somewhere in whatever letter you guys want to write. She is an absolute hypocrite. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item. So usually with the elections, we would have been more ready to start. February 3rd is when our candidate filing opens, and we haven't actually approved our outreach yet for that. Part of the problem is last time we had our election in April and we had a February candidate filing. Now they've pushed our election off for 2 months and they still have the candidate filing opening in February, which means that when people apply, they're going to be literally waiting until June for the election. And luckily for us, our election is in June and we vote in, you know, the new board switches over in July. But for these other neighbor councils that have their elections in March, their new board is going to be voted on in March. And then they have to sit there and watch the board who's already working continue to work through April, through May, through June. They will be like just sitting ducks waiting for their turn to be on the board. So the election cycle is very odd this year, and we weren't prepared for that. So we knew our election wasn't going to be till June, but we did not realize that the candidate filing was going to open February 3rd. So the official polling location has not been confirmed yet. It is my suggestion that we again request North Valley City Hall, unless you guys think that's beating a dead horse. And the options are Vaughn's parking lot, New Hope Community Church, Aurora Banquet Hall, North Valley City Hall, Tujunga Methodist Church, Sunland Rec Center, Sunland Senior Center, Apperson Elementary School. We just put names on here to try to come up with a place. And one of the reasons that some of these do not work well is, first of all, we usually try to keep it in the middle of the community so people don't have to drive from one end to the other. That's why we've always tried to keep it in the middle at North Valley City Hall. 2 is now, because of COVID requirements, people who have not been vaccinated are not going to be allowed into the polling location. They will have to stay in their car and have curbside voting. So it has to be a location that people can run out and take them ballots so they can vote in their car and then come back. So again, this was one of those things I just don't even know what to do. I didn't know how to write a motion for what we should want. I don't know. So I'll go ahead and read through the rest, and then we're going to have to come back and try to vote on some polling locations. One of the reasons we always did North Valley City Hall is because we also would have barbecue or food at Howard Finn Park that the community could hang out and talk to each other after the election. A lot of these other locations may not work for that. Moving on to item C, review and approve the STNC ballot voting model. So they have already done our ballot. They already know what it looks like, and we need to look at that and approve it.
May I screen share?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, if we're going to vote on this one, we should go back and pick a location too. I was trying to get through all of them so everybody knew what was going on.
I'll wait for you to get through them.
Now my screen's gone. That way the board members can think about what are the things they want to do. They can think all at once.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So, Carol, do you want to put the
Yes, I'll put it
agenda
back
back
up.
up?
Thank you.
These are, because these are all election related. Okay. So we need to vote on the ballot model. We need to discuss a motion in regards to Dunn. Dunn has decided to choose Pacoima Beautiful for the outreach for the North Valley.
What does that mean?
That means that they will pay them to do outreach. I had already gone to the department manager and said that I felt it was a conflict of interest. It was discussed at the VENC meeting because the Pacoima Beautiful not only has a space in North Valley City Hall, and they work closely with the council member, but they also come to our meetings and speak up against us and do not say that they are lobbyists or they work for Pacoima Beautiful. They did that during the Whiteman Airport conversation that we had, and they do it to other neighborhood councils too. So basically the department manager wants to hire a company who would like to replace all the board members who are against them. So that is on here in case we want to write a letter to the department, talk about that conflict of interest and send it to the city attorney. E is review and approve the STNC election plans, which at this point would be the plans that we used for last year, tweaking it and trying to make it as good as we could without reinventing the wheel. And F is the new STNC board will be seated on July 12th of 2023. A board meeting note, May 10th, the general board meeting is the last meeting to vote on funding items. So that's just a FYI. So let's go back to the top. We know about when the candidate filing opens. It's February 3rd. Item B was official polling location. We have to vote on what locations we would like. So we'll do that one first. Do I have a motion to choose polling locations? Lal, I see your hand is raised. Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the candidate filing opens on February 3rd. When does it close?
I don't have the date in front of me. Raul, do you know?
Yes, just give me a second. I'll pull it up right now.
Thank you.
March 20th.
Yeah, March 20th, sorry.
So it's open from February 3rd to March 20th.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. And we have chosen our election date as June 3rd and our election time from 12 noon to 6 p.m. But we still need a location. So do I have a motion? Oh, John, go ahead. Do you have a question?
I only wanted to add to your point that there is no way that the personnel within Pacoima Beautiful can objectively and legitimately administer an election. That they will either covertly on purpose or unconsciously let their own political biases influence whom they push, whom they give what speaking opportunities, everything from where they distribute the flyers to in which social media they post their comments. They are simply incapable of being honest and objective when there are viewpoints that oppose theirs. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so official polling location. Do I have a motion? Oh, wait, let me make sure I don't have any other hands. Sorry, I can't see the whole screen. Okay, do I have any motion for a polling location?
Well, I have a question first on polling location. These are places we suggest, but has anybody gone to Vaughn's and said, what would it take?
No, we just have to submit the which ones we would like, and then the department will help us get that taken care of.
I'll make a motion for the Vaughn's parking lot. Since you guys said you've done it in the past and you had great turnout, I
We did.
would suggest that to have equal access to all. So if some have to vote curbside, then maybe everybody should vote curbside to be fair to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a second on that motion?
I second it.
Okay, Shauna seconded it. Cheryl made the motion. Okay, raise hands. If you're a community member and you have a comment on this, okay. Oh, we should have two. So do I have a motion for a second location? Carol, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but for a second location, I will make the motion for the New Hope Community Church.
So we'll have to check
I'll
with them.
second that.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Okay, so we have Carol made the motion, Kathleen. We'll just wrap it into one. So the two locations are Vaughn's and New Hope Church. So, okay. Let's go to community. Does anybody have a comment? Patty, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Vaughn's was extremely hot, to say the least, that day. People were in line I went all the way, from the driveway of Vaughn's off of Foothill to Summit Rose. So I know 2 years ago, or the last time we had, they did not allow us to have it outdoors. If I remember right, there was something about that we couldn't have it outdoors anymore, even with a covering. But Vaughn's was very, very hot, just mildly, FYI. Standing in that parking lot and in line. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other community members have a comment? If so, raise your hand. You can press *9. Okay, I don't see any other hands. John Von Gunton, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but I believe we're doing this backwards. We need to poll 4, 5, 6, 7 possibilities, see who's amenable, get the information, see if there's any costs, and then we bring this to the board. Do we have to do it tonight?
Let's ask Raoul. Raoul?
So this is actually through the city clerk's office. So there, I think you mentioned earlier that the city clerk would help facilitate these locations. So you need to provide them a list of the locations that you would like to have be polling places.
Okay.
So could we just put this entire list down and let the city clerk check them out?
So just to clarify, we did all of that, and we did it early. This board voted for our locations. Their city clerk is coming back saying they're not available.
All of them?
That's what I understand.
Who is not available?
The
Which
North
sites?
City Hall is not available. That was our first choice. And I think the, is it the library? I'm not sure, was the second choice.
Library is too small.
Yeah.
I do know that if we selected Aurora, it's not as centrally located as we'd like. But I do know that he would let us utilize that space free of charge, as long as he doesn't have a banquet.
It's a Saturday.
Keep in mind that we are voting by mail and we are voting in person.
Oh, we're voting by mail again too?
We will have both opportunities, voting by mail and
Oh,
I should have
wow.
said that. I'm sorry. It slipped my mind.
Oh, wow. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's just go through the list. We have Vaughn's, Howard Finn Park, which goes with North Valley City Hall. So that's pointless. We've already been thrown out of those. New Hope Community Church, Aurora Banquet Hall, and the Tujunga United Methodist Church, Sunland Rec Center, Sunland Senior Center, and Apperson Elementary School. So.
Will the senior center let us do it free of charge?
You have
No,
two hands.
they're gonna charge us. Any of the city buildings are gonna charge us. Apperson Elementary School, I reached out to today to find out if they are allowing groups to use the facility. They said I'd have to go to facilities. Esmeralda was here earlier. She looked into it for us. She said it's kind of on a case-by-case basis.
For Christ's sakes.
So that's where we're at. Mark, go ahead.
There we go. Okay, I just want to say in the Vaughn's parking lot, we did actually have a person waiting in line that collapsed and required access. Somebody ran over to the fire department and got some paramedics over to help revive that person. And so it was a little dicey. Very long line. A lot of people voted. A lot of people voted that were not from our area because they were considered, they were handed pieces of paper by someone who said, oh, you're part of our group. You're part of our, you belong to our, what was it? The people that fight down to the fight club. And so since you're a member of the fight club, that means you can vote in this election. And there was a lot of people like that. However, and that's one of the reasons why we do use certification, checking people where they live. But anyhow, and most of those people in Fight Club that voted as a member of the Fight Club did not live in our community whatsoever. And they weren't really members of the Fight Club, but they were that day. So I don't know, Vaughn's maybe, maybe not, it's it depends on the weather. Thank you.
So I'm just going to make a suggestion. We have the items. I'd like to see if we'd like to amend this to put in New Hope Church, Tujunga United Methodist, and Apperson Elementary. Only because most of those places have shade covering or are indoors, and we might be able to accommodate people. We also have the option at those 3 locations to potentially have food and outreach to the community.
I'll second that, or I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Carol made the motion.
I second.
Okay, Lala seconded it. Okay. So are there any other questions or any other suggestions? Cheryl, go ahead.
Do those 3 suggestions have the space for curbside voting?
Yes. They would have the availability. I mean, we're going to have somebody watching curbside voting. That would be up to the department and volunteers to do. Or they actually, what they do is on a cone, they put a phone number for that person to call, and then somebody comes out.
And the city clerk is going to be the one checking vaccine cards?
That would be, I would have
in
to
addition
assume.
to all the other documentation.
So I had New Hope Church, Aurora Banquet Hall, Tujunga Methodist, and what was the other one?
Apperson.
Apperson. Okay. I just want to make sure I got them down so I didn't forget them. Yeah, it's up to the city clerk to take care of that. So, I mean, we can advertise it out what to do to help people, but yeah, the city clerk will be in charge of that. Okay. Are there any other comments on this? If so, raise your hand. Otherwise, we will go for the vote. I don't see any hands up. Go ahead, Carol. Carol, can you hear me?
Are you talking to me or Cheryl?
You, Carol.
I did lower my hand, but it would occur. This is starting to feel like voter suppression. I just have to say that. Oh no, you can't use the city hall to vote. Oh no, you can't do this. Oh no, you can't. Okay, fine. That's my comment.
Can we call for the vote?
All right. So this is for Tujunga United Methodist, New Hope Church, and Apperson School.
And Aurora Banquet Hall.
And Aurora. Okay. All right. Lydia Grant?
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon?
Yes.
Ed Babakanian?
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman? Did we lose Lenny? Okay.
Just come back to him.
Okay. KT Travers?
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt?
Yes.
Thank you. John Van Gunten?
Yes.
Karen Moran?
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff?
Yes.
Cheryl Smith?
Yes.
Mike Gotia?
Yes.
Shirley Kim?
Yes.
Chris Rowe?
Yes.
Nina Royal? Cindy Claycorn?
Yes.
Sherry McCoy?
Yes.
And Mark Siegel?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back. How about
I don't
Nina?
see Nina, And I don't see Lenny.
And you don't see Lenny. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we got one done. Next item. Review and approve the STNC ballot voting model. Do we have that?
I do not.
Do you have it, Cindy?
I'm sorry, I totally forgot it. There,
Okay.
thank you.
So there's a ballot voting model. There will be 6 ballots because we have a ballot for each different region. And then we have a separate ballot for at-large. And that should be 5 ballots. So I don't know.
Okay, so you have a Region 1 ballot. Everybody, there are 2 seats in Region 1. There's they will vote for the president, the first vice president, community improvement, the second vice president, outreach, the secretary corresponding, the secretary recording, the treasurer, the senior representative, the public safety representative, the education representative, and the at-large representative. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I believe I already see a problem with this ballot.
Okay, what is it?
Well, they've identified the stakeholder group reps, but they didn't put them on here. There's other remaining positions. Okay, the Region 2 ballot is the same. And the Region 3 ballot is the same, except it has 1 extra seat for a Region 3 rep. And the 4th ballot, or the 4th region, has 4 seats and the same. Now they have this called a general ballot. Stakeholders who live, work, or own real property within the boundaries of the neighborhood council for 16 years, president, vice president, treasurer.
That one does not, that one should not exist.
That doesn't make sense. This is general. No.
Yeah, because every one of our ballots that is not for the at-large should have a region attached.
So I recommend that, unless somebody disagrees with me, that we take this back to the city clerk and get it corrected and bring it back.
Agreed. Okay.
I agree.
Is there
I
anybody
agree.
who disagrees with that? If so, raise your hand that you disagree. And otherwise, we will move that to send back to the city clerk without objection. Okay, next item.
So the
I'm sorry, Mark had his hand raised.
Okay.
Mark, I'm allowing you to talk. Hold on. Go ahead.
You don't mean Mark Siegel, do you?
No, I meant Mark Dutton. Mark, did you hand your hand up for this?
I did. I had my hand up a bit ago, and I don't know what's going on technically here, but I was disconnected and my numbers aren't opening anything, anyway. My question is this: where is Sylmar and Pacoima holding their elections? Do either one of them have access to their city hall?
No.
Thank you.
The next thing, Lydia, I believe on this list is the possible motion regarding done election outreach through Pacoima Beautiful. The STNC's election plans. I think those are
Okay,
the
so
two
let's do the
things.
Pacoima Beautiful. Do I have a motion to send a letter to the city attorney and the department manager of our disappointment in choosing Pacoima Beautiful because we feel it's a conflict of interest?
I move.
Okay, Lala moves. Do I have a second?
It's Carol. I'll move.
Carol's a second. John Von Gunton, would you like to write the letter?
I will be glad to. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any questions from board members? If so, raise your hand. If not, any hands from the community members? Mark, I see your hand is up. Go ahead. Mark Dutton. It's so weird. I
Hello?
keep asking Mark to unmute, but then, can you hear me?
Yeah, it keeps muting.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, my experience with Pacoima Beautiful has never been a good one. Why is it that they are involved in this at all? Pacoima Beautiful is the organization trying to shut down the Whiteman Airport, spreading all sorts of misinformation about that. They've hired people from Pacoima Beautiful to test the pollution in the air. They've hired people and said they were going to pay them, and I was told today that those people are angry because they were not paid. Why is Pacoima Beautiful even involved with this? Are they Monica's muscle? Is this an episode of Ozark? I don't understand this. I can't believe we're talking about this stuff. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, board members. I see. Lala, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should just say, no, thank you. We know what we're going to, it is our job to outreach. They can't tell us what to, like, we put it on our own Facebook page. We make our own billboards or bus signs, just like we did last time. We have the videos that we did. Everything can be redone as needed in Canva. We just say no. Why do we have to follow an order that they do our outreach? And are we going to pay for that?
So the department would pay for that.
Okay, well then, whatever they do, we just do our own, period.
Okay, thank you. KT, go ahead.
I can understand if you're a big supporter of Whiteman Airport, why you'd have a problem with Pacoima Beautiful, but they are a not-for-profit organization with a 25-year history of doing things like planting trees on their streets, and I think that if they take on a contract to promote elections, they'd be in violation of that contract if they said anything specific about any candidate, and they could then lose payment for that. And
No.
John, let her speak. Don't interrupt.
Okay.
Go ahead, KT.
I just think that perhaps they should be given a chance to do the job that they're being hired to do. I agree that we do an excellent job of promoting our elections and have the number of participants to show for that. But to presume that they're going to be speaking out against any particular candidate, I think that we shouldn't make such assumptions. We should just go about doing our own promotion. And if we police what they're doing and turn in any of those results, if we do find them doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Thank you. Cindy, go ahead.
Okay, so let's not get confused here. This is not about them doing the outreach for us in STNC. This is the department's outreach, what they're doing to reach beyond all of us. They hire other agencies to help promote in their newsletters or their own outreach efforts, purposely to reach new people beyond what we would do. So it's not directly helping us. In a sense, the department works in competition with our individual neighborhood council. It would be far better for the department to put money and join together to help the neighborhood council with its outreach. Now, I know Raul said he wanted to meet with the outreach committee and talk about elections outreach. That's true. But whatever the department is spending for, like Pacoima Beautiful or for some medical places, they've got, it's a whole contract that they've got. You're not going to, there's nothing transparent about it. in things that we do, we have to hold a public meeting like we're doing now, and everybody gets to know what it is and what the plans are and how money is spent. You will not have any of that. They'll just get a contract of money, and then they do what they do, and they provide a little report afterwards. They sent 5 million this, they had 400,000 impressions on Facebook, or whatever the case may be. They give all those kind of numbers out, and then that's what you get, and that's what they use to promote. So it's a competition in a sense, to the direct neighborhood council, and it's not working together. That's my thoughts.
Thank you. Any other board members have a comment? Okay. Who am I missing?
Mark.
I think I called on Mark earlier. We
Mark
called on Mark
Gutman,
first before we went to this. Cindy, you
Oh,
have
okay.
a comment? The only thing I'd like to say is, I don't know if you guys remember, but after the election last time, there was a big issue that we brought to everybody's attention about all the mismanagement of the outreach funds, and how none of the money spent for outreach actually went to election outreach. It went
That's
out
right.
after the election. So just wanted to bring that point. Also, and I know it's something I had originally heard from Mark, and I'm not going to call on him again, but when they were holding the meetings for Whiteman Airport, our community members went there so they could hear what was going on. And the whole time, the members of Pacoima Beautiful were yelling, shut it down, so that their voices couldn't be heard. And that is why I have a problem with Pacoima Beautiful, because I do not think they are fair nor open and transparent with the community. And now we're going to put them in charge of coming out and outreaching for elections for people they don't want seated. I would like to go forward, call for the vote of the motion that we have, which is for John Von Gunten to write a letter to send to the department and the city attorney about what we feel is conflict of interest, and why we would not like Pacoima Beautiful to do the outreach for our community's election.
Okay.
And this letter would be approved by the board before sending, right?
It will delay if the board approves it now. I mean, the context is just going to be what we said.
Okay,
As long as
fine.
it doesn't change from that context, we should be able to send it.
Fine by me.
Okay. Okay. Carol, could you call for the vote?
All right, Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman back, or is he gone?
I haven't seen him come back.
Okay, KT Travers.
Abstain.
Okay. Trevor Schmidt.
He's asleep.
Oh,
He's here on the call.
Okay.
I heard a
Yeah.
Trevor. Yeah, thank you.
He woke up.
Okay, John, he heard his name. He's well trained. John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Thank you. Karen Moran.
yes.
Belinda Woodruff.
Yes.
Cheryl Smith.
Yes.
Mike Goslia.
Yes.
Shirley Kim.
Yes.
Chris Rowe.
Yes.
Nina Royal.
She's not here.
Okay, Cindy Claycorn.
Yes.
Sharon McCoy.
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay,
So, Madam President, I know you're
that's
waiting. for
15 yes, thank you.
Okay.
I want to point out that we have representatives here for land use items, and it's now 9:40, and so I would just want to point that out. And we also have some consent and funding items to vote on.
Yeah. I know, and so I've been trying to get to the ones that are urgent, because we have the city clerk emailing me every couple days and they want locations and stuff. So I'm gonna, let's flip through real quick. Also, we have to pick a location to have our in-person meetings, because if we go back to in-person before our next meeting, we wouldn't have a location at all. So there's certain things that we need to do. I think item 12 is the motion to hold in-person hybrid with Wi-Fi board and committee meetings after March 1st. I think that one, so we're gonna put 12 on hold. I think this one is imperative we do. If you don't mind, we'll go back to some of these, but this 14 is the one I'd like to go to right now. Discussion action motion to support Senator Portantino's bill so neighbor councils can continue holding meetings on Zoom. These all kind of fit together again under one topic, but I wanted to hit that one directly. Cindy, do you have the email I sent earlier that mentions Portantino's bill? So this is the situation. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment's not sure when we're going to go back to in-person meetings. It could be as early as our February meeting. It could be our March meeting. They're not sure. Senator Portantino is putting a bill together so that neighborhood councils continue to hold meetings on Zoom. The reason why this is being done is because under the current protocols, same with the elections, neighborhood councils, if they went back to in-person meetings, would have to have the community members show proof of vaccine before we could let them in the building. So that then discriminates against community members, and it is a complete violation of our code of conduct, which I had put together in writing. Cindy, I sent you that email, that I would like to see if you guys support continuing to meet on Zoom, especially as long as, you know, and we could vote at, you know, as time goes on to decide we want to continue on Zoom, we want to go back to in-person once they've lifted the COVID restrictions. So number 14, I'm asking for a motion to support Senator Portantino's bill. There's also 2 council files attached to this so that neighborhood councils continue hold meetings on Zoom. The department manager has been working legislatively to try to get the city council to support this, also going to the state level for changes to the Brown Act to allow neighborhood councils and city commissions to continue to be able to meet on Zoom. So Cindy, did you find that email? It's just a little blip. It basically just says what I just said, but there it is.
I'll make that. I'll go ahead and make the motion to support.
Okay.
I second.
The Sunland, so this is the Sunland-Tujunga Neighbor Council takes the position that we do not wish to return to in-person meetings at this time. The rules being put forth state that in-person meetings will require proof of vaccination or negative COVID test for our community members to attend. This would be discriminatory and a violation of the Neighborhood Council Code of Conduct. All our community members shall be able to attend our meetings. We support any measures that allow us to continue using the Zoom platform or something similar to continue our meetings. And then I added the 2 council files in the Portantino bill so that when these issues come up, we would be able to speak to them. The board will have already taken a position. So KT, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Just a comment.
Sure.
Not only does eliminating the Zoom platform create a problem of discrimination against people who choose not to be vaccinated, it also creates a problem of discrimination against those who suffer from substandard immune systems, who can't, in any protection for their health, go out into public. And I would suggest that it also is discrimination against members of our own board who count themselves among the immune suppressed.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And so do I have any other, let's go to the community, any community members that want to make a comment on this, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Mark. Every time I push mute, it bounces around. I don't know what it's doing. Can you hear me now? We hear you? It will not unmute.
Oh, come
So
on.
go ahead,
guys.
Mark. Mark, go ahead.
Speak. It looks like it's unmuted.
Mark,
Yes, hello?
Go on
Yes,
to the next
go ahead.
person, please.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, I've tried to lower my hand 3 times and it won't lower, so I don't have anything to say on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to the board. So we have a motion. Who made the motion?
I did, and
who-
Lola seconded.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Okay. Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman. Up. Katie Travers.
Abstain.
Okay. Trevor Schmidt. Must be really asleep now. John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Thank you. Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith. Okay, Mike Goglio,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal, Cindy Claiborne,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay, and was that Nina?
This is Cheryl, yes.
Oh, Cheryl is yes, okay. And so I'm missing Lenny, Trevor, and Nina?
Lenny and Nina aren't here.
Okay, all right then.
Okay. So thank you, guys. Moving on to the next item. Did board elections. We're gonna skip on the meetings. I think we've done as much as we can do at this point. So we'll move on to the land use items.
So Cindy probably has the latest letter from on the corner market.
Yes, I have them for the corner market and also item B, A and B.
Okay. We'll
Well, I
go ahead.
Probably have the other one too. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Patty, are any of these items under a time constraint?
Yes, item B.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have representatives in the audience for both of these item A and B that I know of. I'm not sure about C. So this is the land use committee met earlier tonight, and if Patty wants to present them, let me get to her. She's been here all this time to get to these. Okay, Patty, go ahead.
Okay, the A is the corner market of Mount Gleason Foothill, Mount Gleason Summit Rose. And they're asking for a CUB. They want to increase their selling ability from beer and wine to the full alcohol behind the off-site consumption. They are actually going to fix up we had a problem with the parking, the way they parked. They're fixed that already. They're going to they've done some improvements just to make their store look better. You know, I don't know how much we have to go. I'm sorry. I'm tired and it's
late. So
I don't know what they want me to say.
Okay.
Do you guys agree that they should have a liquor license or liquor?
Well, I think what she's looking for is what did the committee come up with?
The
What were the
committee
comments of
voted
the
to
different committee
recommend to the
members?
support with conditions that they improve their the building. You know, guys, I'm sorry. Somebody is also going to have to talk. I don't talk well. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let me just give you, this is Cindy. The concerns or issues that need to be addressed. This is the part that is going to the city. And it will be up to them to take this in or not. Signage, landscaping, and storefront changes to improve for an inviting and modern aesthetics. This is an opportunity to improve this commercial corner property. Request a condition be placed on the CUB, the property be maintained as to the exterior paint and signage in conformance with the design guidelines in the Foothill Boulevard Corridor specific plan. Ms. Damaso, who is present here tonight, if you wish to speak with her, did discuss this with the owner. The building was painted 3 years ago, and he's very willing to make building improvements. But right now, with the cost of the fees and this process, he's not financially able at this time, but has agreed to make the changes 1 year after the upgrade to the license has been issued. They're hoping their cash flow will improve with the increase in the CUB business. Improvements. I thought that the version that we had a 1 year in it. Okay. Improvements they have had time to change are they are no longer parking on the sidewalk. The signage and flyers have been removed from the building. The exterior paint was planned, but the weather has delayed that. The owner plans on changing the signage. And that's that. There was a line that was added with regards to a within the first year. So that may need to be part of this as well. We'll have to get that, Patty. Sorry.
Yes, okay, thank you. I must
Okay.
not have saved the copy we did.
Yeah.
So this
Okay.
is a motion to support the letter from the land use committee.
Yes. I will move. This is Cindy.
And do I have a second?
Oh, this is Carol, a second.
Okay, Kathleen, did you have a question?
Yes. Would we have absolutely any power to enforce this 1 year leeway? In other words, would their liquor license be withdrawn if they did not live up to the Foothill Corridor specific plan requirements? Or would they basically just get to keep their liquor license and effectively thumb their noses at the Foothill Corridor specific plan?
Why don't you take all the questions and I'll try to help respond. Okay.
Mark, did you have a question? Mark Siegel?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I went through the attachments that were sent out by this lady earlier today, Lib Jam or whatever her name was. And I was noticing and I'm very concerned. By the way, I like the liquor store there. They've always been good people. I'm very concerned about them also serving or providing hard alcohol. That bothers me a little bit. But my major concern is the data that's being supplied by their paid advocates from Beverly Hills. The third letter from the bottom says it's from Liliana Sanchez at 11608 Shelley Vista Drive, Tujunga, California. She lives at the top of Alpine Village. And her letter says, to whom it may concern, I'm excited to hear the corner market willing to get a liquor license. I always go to this store more than 4 times a day, and all my family go there too, as we live next door to them. So for us, it's easy to go and grab everything we need comfortably. So we highly recommend them to get this license. Well, I mean, they're obviously manufacturing data because she does not live anywhere near the corner market. She does not have family that lives with her. And going 4 times a day, really? And her family, she has no family living with her, at least as far as I know, and she never has. So I'm very concerned about the data that's being supplied by their paid advocates. But other than that, the rest of you should read this stuff and look and see how it's manufactured to make it look like it's true. So I just want to let you guys know. Thank you.
John, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo Ms. Travers' concerns about the $1 today for a hamburger tomorrow promise of we will do A, B, and C if only you will do this favor for me right now. The other concern that perhaps if there's a representative, it's one thing to spruce up your signage, but when you bring in what will be an inventory of, has to be at least $20,000 to $30,000 worth of hard liquor, some of which must sell for what, $40 a bottle. I don't know what liquor sells for. I think they haven't said anything that I've seen about beefing up security for against midnight break-ins, people crashing through walls, etc. So I think they are making themselves what termed an attractive nuisance, and they are setting themselves up for lots of losses and robberies, just as we have seen the cannabis shops set themselves up for becoming attractive nuisances with lots of robberies and mayhem. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to respond to the enforcement side. You know, we didn't see a representative from the police department for this site. That sometimes has been done in the past, but it's very hard nowadays. The part about the conditions, once the zoning administrator puts conditions, they can call for a review in a length of time, you know, a year, 18 months. They'll remind them, or 5 years, whatever. And many times those are the kinds of applications we see. Smart and Final was one of the most recent ones that came back to be reviewed after X number of years. But this community or this city is a complaint-driven city. So if people have issues where some of these things aren't done and they don't turn it in, then yes, it's probably not likely that it will get taken care of. But we can ask, and there's been a lot of engagement with folks, and there has been support from the Chamber of Commerce. They were at the meeting earlier tonight. And also, I understand that was said that there's a petition that they're having people who come into the market sign. So I just want to let you know those couple of things. So I don't know when the hearing will be. There will probably be a next step of a public hearing, and those are done remotely. But if you want to participate, you can participate at that level as well. But at this time, this is for, they're reaching out to get the neighborhood council's input, which is, you know, we welcome that and we encourage and we appreciate that. And does anyone want to have a conversation with the representative? She is here. Lily is here.
Okay, I actually have a couple questions too. And that is, would that not give us that every corner of that little intersection would have the alcohol and liquor license? I mean, that's pretty concentrated.
Yes, it is.
I mean, if we have restaurants and stuff that are bringing in people and they serve alcohol, that's one thing, but to start handing out a bunch of liquor licenses for drawing some things that could be very negative. For example, there was recently an attack on one of the waitresses at Caruso's from a guy that was hanging out at that liquor store. So I certainly have some concerns. I also have a question, Cindy. This is to Cindy and Patty, and that is, when we as a board take a position, we can as individuals write a letter. But is that the same with the land use committee? And if there is a letter from a land use committee member, should that have been included and sent to the board in advance?
I should have commented earlier about what Mark was saying, in that Liliana did step out of the meeting during and did not vote regarding this matter today. So because she did say that she you know, already voiced her support. So that's what happened with that. So
okay, just for clarification. Okay, Kathleen has her hand up again.
I just wanted to say that in the letter that was emailed to all of us by the store's representative, It was pointed out that they are adding 4 new security cameras. You can verify that with her. I did want to point that out. And then I'd like to say something purely for factual purposes. Liliana Sanchez, in the same house that she lives in now, raised a family, lived there with her husband. She and her husband are broken up now, but she still has family members living with her. And I think to cast aspersions on somebody when you don't know what their living situation is a little uncalled for. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lilliger, your hand is up.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Lilliger Damaso with Liquor License Agents. I am the representative, and we're not located in Beverly Hills. We're located in East Beverly Boulevard. And I also agree with the lady that just spoke. None of this has been fabricated. These are emails of letters of support that members of the community have sent. And it's the same letters of support that will be submitted to the city as well. In regards to the overconcentration of the liquor license, like I explained in my email, that I would have assumed you would have read, this is merely a liquor license upgrade. What does that mean? The site itself has had a beer and wine ABC, type 20 ABC license since 1986. So when you upgrade a liquor license privilege, what you're doing is you're swapping, meaning that the type 20 will be surrendered and the type 21 will come in. So there will not be a net increase of liquor licenses in the area, if that makes sense. Secondly, correct, the applicant actually increased their camera surveillance in their store, indoor and outdoor. The hours of operation are not changing. They're not doing any type of change of use. It's just merely a liquor license upgrade. If you have any other questions, please let me know.
Lydia?
Yeah, there was a question raised at the land use committee meeting that I attended the last time. And so how many businesses are at that location? The reason I asked the question was because you mentioned in your documents that you send about parking. That's why I'm asking.
Well, the only business at the site is the convenience store, and it's not a liquor store, it's a convenience store.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any comments from community members? If so, please raise your hand, *9. I do not see any. Let's go back to the board. Okay.
Carol, I raised my hand, except I can't find the button.
Go ahead.
No, I just think we as a community and as land use, we can try. I mean, I think putting a time limit on this is really about the best we can do. I mean, I'm not personally against them having a liquor license. I mean, I don't, but at the end of the day, I mean, what can we do well, if we force them and say they have to make these upgrades before they can have their liquor license, will they lose that opportunity? But I just remember what one of the other, I just had to say that one of the last land use meetings, somebody spoke up and said, well, all the other businesses look like heck, sort of. Why should this guy be forced to clean up his business? And it's like, we can only try. And I think this is kind of what this letter is doing, is that we're trying to clean up this community, because people go, why don't we have new businesses? Well, because it looks like a dump and we're trying to make it better. So I don't know if we have a right to deny this man a liquor license, but I don't think we can force him to make cleanup either.
Okay. So are there any other comments from board members, or are we ready to call for the vote? I don't
And
see
also,
anything.
if I may add something, just so you guys understand how this process works. With the zoning administrator, they're going to take a look at the letter of, support or non-support that you guys submit. Obviously, the conditions or the suggestions that you guys are making will be considered. And we will talk about it during the public hearing. And of course, you guys will absolutely, you can be there if you would like to attend, since it's Zoom. But if that's something that the zoning administrator considers it needs to be a part of the letter of determination as suggested in your letter of support, then what happens is, if for whatever reason, after the letter of determination has been sent out and the CUP is approved, you guys as a community can go back to the city within a year. Let's say the applicant really says, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. And you go to the city, you go to city planning, you go to building and safety, and what they'll do is someone will come out there to make sure that they are actually abiding by the rules that they have set in order for them to operate with a liquor license. If they're not abiding, what they'll do is they'll actually send what's called an order to comply, meaning they're going to give them a time frame and letting them know condition number 20 states that you need to have done this within a year. You haven't done it. We're going to give you X amount of time for you to do it, and here's going to be an additional fine. So you know how that process works. So you do have control over it. Now, I'm not saying it just for this specific CUB. In general, that's how that works.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Carol, can we call for the vote?
Okay.
And please put me at the end.
Put you at the end.
Yes.
All right, Shauna? Shauna Scanlon, you're first.
Yes.
Ed Babakanian?
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman is absent. KT?
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt? Okay, John Van Gunten?
I abstain.
Okay. Karen Moran?
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff?
Yes.
Okay, Cheryl Smith?
Yes.
Mike Gosia?
Yes.
Shirley Kim?
Abstain.
Chris Rowe?
Yes.
Nina Royal? Okay, Cindy Claycorn?
Yes.
Gary McCoy?
Abstain.
And Mark Siegel?
Oh, boy, I'm on the fence of saying yes or abstaining. I'm going to abstain.
Abstain, thank you.
And you got me, Carol. Yes.
Okay, and you're yes, so that makes 11 yes and 4 abstain, rest absent.
Okay.
Okay, item B.
Okay, go ahead. Cindy?
Is this the Starbucks one? I lost
Okay,
my.
this is at the corner of Haynes Canyon and Foothill. And the gentleman here is Albert, I believe, Gregorian, he's here. Is anybody, oh, Vahe.
I'm here. Vahe is actually here too. I think he called in. He's not on the.
Yeah, I'm on
There.
too. Thank you. Sorry, I was yeah.
Okay, so stand by for a second while I get this other letter. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is a proposal to take what used to be the it was years ago a McDonald's, then it's been more recently the Arigato, and this is a proposal that will, what you see there now, it's been like that for 20 years, it will be torn down, and a new drive-through will be placed there. So I'm going to share the screen right now. It's at 6724 and to 6736 Foothill. And this is a conditional use in support of the project with the planning department to look into concerns. So it's on the corner We've met with them, I believe, December 5th, and then again tonight. During the land use committee meeting, the following points were shared. It was disclosed that Starbucks Cafe Coffee Shop is the intended renter, even though the application did not mention any business name. This property has been empty and an eyesore to the community for many years. The Starbucks origination will be a great improvement to this commercial corner and to our community in general. There will be a shift of the 2 current driveways into one ingress and egress driveway and placed farther east on Foothill to help ease any possible traffic hazards due to the curve on Foothill, just west of Haynes Canyon. An additional 3rd driveway will be placed to the far east of the property for egress only. Egress driveways will only allow for right turns. The plans call for 18 parking spaces, 2 handicap spaces at the front entrance, with the drive-through queue will accommodate 16 vehicles, to the pickup window with 1 additional waiting space after the pickup area. The drive-through line will be on the west side of the property and not interfere with the vehicles entering or exiting the parking area. We feel this is sufficient so as to not have a backup onto Foothill Boulevard. Bike racks are also in the plans. Sidewalks on Haynes Canyon and Foothill will be improved and brought into code. Landscaping improvement was presented, including approximately 28 trees. The pole sign will remain close to the original position at 79 square feet, which is slightly larger than the 66 square feet allowed in the specific plan. The height will be the same as the building at 25 feet. This is to establish the identity of the business. Lighting will be installed so that it will not affect the homes on Haynes Canyon or Shady Grove. In no way will the home's fence or property on Shady Grove be affected by any grading or construction or detract from the home owner's view. The retaining wall will have a setback from the property line to allow landscape buffer and homeowners' properties on Shady Grove and will not affect the homeowner's current fences. It was brought up that the traffic on Shady Grove and Haynes Canyon will increase as a cut through instead of using Foothill Boulevard, but that is speculation without absolute proof, according to the traffic study. Concerns and or issues that need to be addressed. What is not acceptable are the operating hours of 24/7 being requested. However, the Starbucks representative at the city's public hearing of December 15th stated that Starbucks has no intention of being open those hours, but they are requesting 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. Neither 24/7 nor 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. is acceptable. In our bedroom community, we feel that 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. is more acceptable for this applicant and any future business. A native oak tree on Shady Grove property adjacent to the project, which has extensive root system and limb structure, would be impacted in any grading constructions to the property on Shady Grove. Past usage of the property were gas stations and at least 1 buried gasoline storage tank reported. The property is in a flood control zone and has a subterranean catch basin that is subject to drainage problems year-round and a haven for mosquitoes. This seems to be a city or county issue to look at. And that's the extent of the comment letter. The hearing has already been held, and the hearing examiner, the zoning administrator, is holding open the case for the neighborhood council's comment letter. So this one is time sensitive.
Okay, and did the STNC committee, the land use committee, approve it?
Yes, tonight.
Okay, so
now you have a representative here, and he has raised his hand, Vahe.
Yeah, so Vahe, go ahead.
So sorry, my hand is still raised. I forgot to put it down. I have nothing to add. I just want to thank everyone for staying so late on this call and for all your participation. Patty did a great job of explaining the project, so nothing further to add. Just want to thank everybody and appreciate for all your hard work on this.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the letter recommendation from the land use committee?
I move. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you got Lala, right? Was that Lala?
That was
Yeah.
Lala.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
Okay, so Lala made the motion, Cindy seconds. Kathleen Travers, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to ask if the trees that are going to be added to the site are going to be native trees. And if no decision has been made on that, I'd like to put my word in that you please consider native trees, which have a much better chance of surviving, are drought tolerant, and would be much appreciated by the community.
The trees, the city requires them to be native and drought tolerant. So yes, they will be. I don't have the exact species off the top of my head, but they are native and drought tolerant as required by the city.
Thank you.
Great.
Ed, go ahead.
Thanks. Just a couple of questions. The more I heard about this reading here from Cindy, I guess the question I have is this the national chain Starbucks, or is this a local coffee shop that's using the name Starbucks? And if it is the national chain, does this location impact the location in Sunland that used to be the Burger King?
It's the national chain. I'm not sure how it impacts the other one. We're just the landowner and we're building it. Starbucks will be our tenant, so we won't be operating the actual business. Starbucks operates the businesses in themselves.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, Carol,
Yes.
you have your hand up. Your hand is up.
My hand, yeah, so I'm sorry. So we are not, they're not gonna get or at least we're not saying we're gonna push that 24/7 open, right? It did say that. And it will be the concerns about the flooding and the tree damage to that property on Shady Grove will be
Correct.
addressed, correct? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Okay, John Von Gunton.
Thank you. Mr. Gregorian, you mentioned, sir, that Starbucks will be your tenant. Thank you. May I ask, what is the state of the contract progress between you as landowner and the expected tenants, Starbucks Corp?
The lease has been executed.
So the lease is completely signed and there is no way that they will change their mind or the parties will fail to agree on something, it sounds like you're telling me.
Correct.
Thank you.
And the
Good.
Starbucks Act, yeah, correct.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Starbucks was actually at the hearing and spoke, because that was a concern that came up in the committee as well. One of the things that has been suggested, Vahe, that I wonder if you would take into consideration with regards to the signage. Our specific plan is to bring our signage in accordance with it, which is more down. And I know we talked about this, but you wanted to keep the height. And it was said, and we kind of are in a winding boulevard. So visibility of the signage is important for the businesses. So we understand that. But it was suggested that maybe the sign could be turned a different direction rather than be in the more vertical direction it is now. And it would accommodate the Starbucks sign. So it's just something to think about or consider, and then brings it more in line with the community's plan.
Sure. The sign design is consistent with the specific plan, and visibility and tenant identification is of utmost importance to us. So absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
With that, I think we're ready.
Yes, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
All right. Lydia,
Yes.
Shauna,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Carol is yes. KT,
Yes.
do we have Trevor?
No.
Okay, no Claire. John,
Yes.
Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Goglio,
Abstain.
abstain. Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
I look forward to seeing a good execution of this project. Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Cindy, item C.
Item C is a support letter for Plateau. And
So sorry, just the motion has been adopted and it's supported, correct?
Yes.
Just wanted for the record. Okay.
Yes. I know I shouldn't have cut
Okay.
Carol off. Carol, go ahead with the vote.
You want me to, okay, now I gotta go back and let me see.
Sorry, we're just trying to get through.
Okay,
our
that's
agenda.
14 yes. With one
Okay,
abstain and
adopted.
the rest absent.
Thank you.
So yes, passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, item C.
Item C is 10731 to 10733 North Plateau. It's the approval of interior and exterior renovation, adding 2,124 square feet to a single-family residential home with a new patio and pool, and to allow relief from the LA Municipal Code for roadway widening and street improvement from the driveway of the property to the boundary of the hillside area. We met in November, and the items that were discussed are during the land use committee meeting. The points were made to the proposed exterior addition will keep within the looks of the neighborhood, with the height remaining very close to the original structure. The proposed changes will not affect neighbors' prevailing views of the mountains or local hillsides. The applicant will improve the property frontage, including the driveway apron and a 4-foot sidewalk adjacent to the property line. The proposed project will improve any current drainage problem existing on the subject lot. The STNC further agrees with the request for relief from widening or improving Plateau Drive to the nearest intersection. To do so would be costly and burdensome expense to the property owner and impact other properties. And that's it.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I move.
I
My
second.
first question is, did the land use committee write this letter? Is it a letter of
Yes.
support? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Lala
Okay.
moved and I seconded.
Okay. Are there any questions from the community members? Any attendees? Raise your hand or star 9. I do not see any hand raised. Go back to the board members. Does anybody have any questions or comments? If so, raise your hand. I don't see anything. You guys must be getting tired.
Yeah.
Okay, Carol, call for the vote.
Okay, Lydia Grant,
Yeah.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, KT Travers,
Yes.
John Van Gunten. Did we lose John?
No, his his picture's still there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Karen Moran,
Yes.
thank you. Belinda,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Mike, Gogia?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, Shirley Kim, Shirley Kim.
I don't think she's here.
Okay, thank you. Chris Rowe
Yes.
and Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's 14 with the rest being absent.
Thank you. If you guys don't mind, I want to move down to item 17. I'm skipping the community and liaison reports only because I want to get to the MERS and funding items so we don't lose quorum. Consent calendar funding items Non-consent calendars are considered non-controversial. The consent calendar items for funding are discussion and action to approve the November 2022 monthly expenditure report. B is discussion action to approve the December 2022 expenditure report. C is discussion and action to approve the STNC budget to include the rollover funds from 2021 to 2022. And the discussion and action to approve up to $200 for the board name badges funding approved in the prior fiscal year. So more name badges were ordered, but the approval had been in the previous fiscal year, so we need to approve it for this year. Do I have a motion to approve the funding consent calendar items?
I'll move.
Thank you, Ed. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the community? If so, please raise your hand. I do not see any hands raised. And okay, we'll go ahead and go back to the board. Any questions or comments? Really, it's a consent calendar, so we just go for the vote anyway. Carol, go ahead.
My quick question was, who seconded?
I did, Shauna.
Shauna. Ed was the first.
Shauna? Thank you. Dear.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, Ed, I got that. Okay, Lydia Grant.
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon.
Yes.
Ed Babakanian.
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson. Yes. KT.
Yes.
Okay, Karen Moran.
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff.
Yes.
Cheryl Smith.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Shirley Kim. Chris Rowe.
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn.
Yes.
Sherry McCoy.
Yes.
And Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I get to vote?
I already asked and you didn't say anything.
Didn't hear it. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So 18 is consent calendar items, non-funding. When this was written, there's just a little bit of issue. And that is, A is discussion possible action to approve the board and special meeting minutes from the November 22nd, 2022 board and special meeting minutes. B is discussion possible action to approve the start committee members and quorum. And C is discussion possible action to approve the youth education committee and quorum. We need to know who those committee members and quorums are.
Okay. I can
Okay.
give you the Stark ones.
Okay.
Joe DeCenzo is chair. Gerardo Barrientos, Lucy Berman, Debbie Beck, Joanna Gates, Dawn Jenkins, KT Travers, STNC board member, and Michelle Wadler. And the quorum is 5. And just for everyone's information, two other members resigned. That's Corey Stein and Karen Von Gunten have stepped aside for the time being. So he's asking for approval of those names: Joe, Gerardo, Lucy, Debbie, Joanna, Dawn, KT, Michelle, and a quorum of 5.
Thank you. And for the other committee?
Lala will give you those.
Yes, so it's I am the chair. And then we have Chris Rowe, Ed Babkanian, Karen Moran. Cheryl Smith is stepping down so she can help in outreach and to be replaced with Sherry McCoy. We have 2 seats open for stakeholders and our quorum remains 4.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Did you need to take public comments?
Not on consent.
Not on consent items.
Oh, okay. All right. Lydia Grant.
Yes.
Shauna.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
And Carol's yes. Katie.
Yes.
All right. John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Karen Moran.
Yes.
Belinda,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
we lost Shirley, right? Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. 10, 11, 12, 13. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody in the community, in the attendees that would like to make a public comment? This is for general public comments. If so, please raise your hand. You can do *69 if you happen to be on the phone. I do not see any hands raised. Okay, so general public comments, I'm calling to close. And now, final announcements. Mark
Mark has his hand.
Mark is a board member. Okay.
Right. I just like to make a clarification. Someone had said that I should not be casting dispersions on Liliana, and I was not casting dispersions on her whatsoever. I was just saying that the letter that was shown said that she lives next door to or very close to the business. And I don't know how the letters and the names were put together, but we all know that she doesn't live anywhere near it. And 4 times a day is excessive, and it's unlikely she goes there that many times. And last time when I was friends with Liliana, she was estranged from her daughter. And if her daughter lives with her now, I think that is wonderful that she's made up with her and that the family is getting along together well. And I'm grateful to hear that that's happening. So I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Any other, one of the things that Cindy, if you want to talk about the bank meeting tomorrow night.
The bank meeting is tomorrow night. The commissioner for the North Valley will be present. You can go to bank34.org and see the agenda. The general manager will also be talking about the budget. And so that will also be on the agenda as well. And if I may, I'm a budget advocate, and the budget advocates continue to meet with city departments to prepare their reports. And it's getting along very well. The budget day will be in June, so be looking forward to that. It's not yet for sure whether it'll be a live and in-person budget day. It may be a Zoom meeting. That's not decided as yet. And that I think does it for the Lank is holding an election. So there's a call for candidates for the Neighborhood Council Coalition. That's the citywide alliance of neighborhood councils. And if anyone's interested in that, let me know and we'll get the information to you. And it'll also be on their website.
Okay, thank you. And does anybody else have any final announcements? And does anybody have a committee report or liaison report that we skipped over that wants to give one?
There's a public hearing that is up on the STNC website. So coming up in early February. Thank you.
And this is Carol. Last Saturday, the beautification committee did a cleanup at the little, it's not the Welcome Garden, it's the other sign down on Wentworth and Foothill. They were out there and jigging up weeds, and they got their new banner and they were so happy with it. And I tried to contact, because I didn't get a picture, but they were so happy to see it because they do cleanups. And a lot of times people stop and accuse them of being the dumper instead of the people taking that stuff away. So they were really happy to see that, so they can put that out there, put that banner up there while they're cleanup. So anyway, it was really great. They really liked it.
Thank you. And Sherry, go ahead.
Just one question, if I may. The board retreat what's the process for knowing when the date will be set and all that?
Well, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to find out we're going to find out about the insurance and if the other event's going to go through, and then I will let you know. I will contact you. I also, we didn't actually get to it, but we had a couple things on the agenda that we didn't vote for that we're probably going to have to move to the next meeting. I was hoping we didn't have a motion, but we were going to try to get the board to approve what, Carol, can you go to the item on the elections? What we want to do is we want to be able to start reaching out with some memes to let the public know that the elections are coming up. So we don't necessarily need to vote, but I just want to make sure that there's no objections from the board for us to start putting that information out.
Was that within this STNC board elections? Isn't that?
It was actually on here under approval of the outreach package.
Item E.
Yeah.
Is the outreach committee have a meeting coming up? And if so, what's the date?
Next Thursday, not tomorrow, but the next.
The 19th? Okay.
Yeah. But we want to, so we'll go ahead and we'll get a package together at least to get us started.
Okay, so elections will be a topic on the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
If anybody has input on the elections, please join the outreach committee meeting for that night. Okay, with that, if there's no hands raised and nobody has anything else to comment, meeting is adjourned at 10:36. I'm sorry to keep you guys so late. I know we had a ton on the agenda, and I thank you guys for your patience. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the community members who stayed and hung in there with us. I appreciate it. Thank you again.
You guys did great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you, Lydia, for running a great meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.